Frank's not coming. I think Kathleen's father's not doing good at Mass General Hospital. You gonna walk and do it up there? Or you gonna do it from
Are you going to present from here or up there?
Oh, I try to present from here.
Yeah, we're not doing a PowerPoint.
They all have a copy in front of them. I gave it to
Steve, how are you? Good.
Hi, how are you?
Sal, how's it going? How you feeling? Gotta fight it.
One day at a time.
That's it. That's what you gotta be.
Hang it. Okay.
That's right. That's why I'm telling the both. You gotta be positive.
This meeting of the Budget Committee will come to order. Clerk will call the roll.
All right, Council Capone.
Here.
Council Delacetto.
Here.
Council DeFleury.
Here.
Council Hill.
Here.
Council Hank.
Here.
Council Marquez.
Here.
Council McKinnon.
Here.
Council Napolitano.
Here.
Council Strata.
Here.
Council Sani.
Here.
And Council Simple.
Present.
11.
We have 11 members present. We have a quorum. Please rise and salute the flag. Okay, before we get started, I have a note here from Laureen Hurley, who unfortunately will not be able to make the meeting tonight. I guess she injured herself, so hopefully she's going to recover speedily. Before we go on to our first item, too, just for housekeeping, we should figure out how we want to do this. From the chair, I'd recommend we take the individual departments one at a time, and then we'll go page by page, ask whatever questions that we have, and then it's up to the body if they want to actually make recommendations at that time, or if you want to reserve your recommendations until the June 4th meeting. But I'll leave that up to the body. I don't know which way you'd want to go with that. Councilor Florio?
Mr. Chairman, I believe, in my opinion, I don't know about how everybody else feels, that we just go through it and we do everything today while everybody's here, because by June 4th, we may not have the same people here to answer the questions, so let's just do it
Yeah,
page
and-
by page,
Yeah.
have the questions, and decide to do it.
Yeah, I think that's the way to do it, because they're here, and in case we're cutting something that might be crucial, they could respond to it, and maybe we could save that. So if that's the will of the body, that's what we'll do. So I don't know if we have to formally read anything or just go department by department. The first department is the school department, and we have some of our members before us. If you could please just introduce yourselves to the record, and I would recommend from the chair that we allow the individual departments to make their presentation, and if there are any questions, we'll go from there. Okay. So,
Frederick Forrestier, 22 Meadowview Road, Everett, Superintendent of Schools.
Charles Obremski, 151 SD Street, Assistant Superintendent of Schools.
David Eala, 19 Henry Street, School Committee, Ward 4.
And I would say from the chair that we do have other members from the school department and school committee members that are here for the record. Thank you, gentlemen.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a brief presentation on how the budget numbers for the fiscal 2016 school department budget have been arrived. There is a handout that I provided to you. For fiscal 2016, our enrollment increased to 7,490 students, which is an increase by about 195 students compared to last year. And since 2011, our enrollment has increased by 1,368 students, or 22.3%, while enrollment across the state has decreased by 4,000, just over 4,000 students, or just under half of 1%. And the demographic changes that we also have seen during this past school year, actually under this budget proposal, is 171 more students who are classified as low income, 204 more students are in the English language learners programs, and 29 more students were classified in another category, which includes low income for high school and middle schools. So if we have to remember that the foundation budget, which is the minimum amount of money which must be spent on educating students within a district, it increased by $4.339 million, or 5.1%, with $972,000 of that increase coming from municipal contribution and $3.366 million coming from Chapter 70 aid, for a total of $89,667,950. This was based on the enrollment figures, the demographics, and an inflation index of 1.5% for fiscal 2016 compared to fiscal 2015. So the foundation budget, as we all know, is a simple calculation of municipal contribution and Chapter 70. So Everett's municipal contribution is $25,666,047, and our Chapter 70 money, which makes up the difference to get us to foundation, is $64,001,903. So how do we determine what is to be used for the municipal contribution? This comes out of our municipal tax rolls, the taxes that we, as members of this city, pay to our city government. For fiscal 2016, they used the 2014 EQVs and the 2012 income level of the residents of Everett. The 2014 EQV increased by approximately 3.9% to $3.795 billion. As we know, back in 2008, it was about $5 billion, and in 2010 and 2012, with the downturn in the economy, our EQVs also went down accordingly, and we're actually starting to see recovery, which is good news for this city. The 2012 income level increased by about 7%, up to $771 million. These values determine Everett's target local share, which was calculated to be $25,962,422. The next thing that the state does is that with their formula is they determine preliminary contribution by multiplying the previous year's contribution by the municipal revenue growth factor. This year we saw a 3.94% increase in municipal revenue growth according to the Department of Revenue. So when you combine the two numbers from last year, we get the number of $25,666,047. So the preliminary contribution for Everett for this year, and the required contribution for Everett, is going to be the $25,666,047, because this is the first time in the 15 years that I've been on the school committee that our target share is actually greater than our preliminary contribution. Our preliminary contribution used to exceed it, and then we would get a reduction back towards the goal. But this is good news because we see positive economic factors coming in this city. We see an increase in the EQVs, we see an increase in the income of the residents of the city, and we also see an increase in the municipal revenue growth. So those are all positive indicators that our city is recovering and we're going and moving in the right direction. So for the difference to make it up, Chapter 70 is $64,001,903. So then from that, we have to take our operating budget, and our operating budget is the foundation budget less our municipal chargebacks. And our municipal chargebacks increased by $842,237 to $19,466,565, leaving us a net operating budget of $70,201,385. Then what we have to do is we had to add this transportation cost into that, because under the state laws, transportation is not part of funding for a foundation budget. Transportation costs for special education students is set, and we're maintaining the same level as last year at $3.5 million, giving us a net operating budget for the entire school year coming up of $73,701,385. And so if there are any questions on how we do this, I would be more than happy to meet with any people from any of you up at the school department and just show you the exact formula process, which kind of gets a little involved, and I don't have enough time to show you tonight.
Are there any questions from the floor? Council Marchese.
To Mr. Ealer. Mr. Ealer, how much did the school department receive in grants last year?
That's the question.
With 5.2 million? Yes. No, that doesn't count towards the foundation budget,
No.
right?
No.
Okay, thank you.
This is the minimum we have to spend on educating our students, and grants usually come in after that.
Are you all set, Councilor?
Yes, I am, thank you.
Councilor Napolitano.
Thank you. Through the chair, just for the viewing public, can you explain what EQV is?
Equalized quality values, the total quality values of all the properties within the city of Everett.
Thank you. I just wanted to clear that for the
Okay.
public. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Okay. Are there any suggestions from the members? Seeing none, we'll...
That's one question.
Sure, Councilor
In
Hanlon.
the first paragraph, it indicates that we have increased by 1,368 students, and then it says that enrollment across the state has increased by 4037. Is that a?
I made a typo, and I apologize for that. So it should be decreased by 4,000 students.
Okay, well, all right. Now, the 4,037, is that like an average across the state?
No, that's the entire number over the last 5 years. The state enrollment has decreased by 4,000 students, while we've increased by 1,300.
That's the whole state number?
That's the entire state number is decreased. The state is decreasing in enrollment, yet there are many districts across the Commonwealth who are actually increasing. I've met with people from MASC, and there are cities and towns out in the western part of the state who are having fewer and fewer people live in their cities and towns. They're moving away, moving to larger urban areas, or moving out of the state. And there aren't enough kids in the school districts, so cities and I shouldn't say cities, towns out in the western part of the state are actually combining school districts because of the lack of enrollment out there.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Council Mangan.
Thank you, Mr. President. We just, there's no other questions. I just think we should go, like you said, go page by page and just, if anybody else has any questions, but if we just start, I guess, at central administration and
Sure.
just,
If
go
there
right
aren't
through
any
it.
questions, we'll proceed in that fashion. Well, we've got the first page of the fiscal year 2016 summary. Are there any questions on that page? Council Simonelli.
Thank you to you, Mr. President, to these three kind gentlemen. What I'm looking at here is the special education transportation. Now, I just, excuse me, it's right on the first page.
Where exactly is that, Councilor?
It's on page 1, summary.
Down at the bottom, the summary page. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
My question is, I just wondering, how long, who does this job?
Malden Transportation,
And how long they been doing this job?
30-plus years.
Why are they always the bidder? I mean, does anybody bid against them, or is it just automatic they get the contract?
Just let me give you a little quick history if I can. 15, 20 years ago, Mr. McLaughlin, first of all, the transportation company sent us a request to roll over their transportation contract, freeze the price. This was 15 or 20 years ago. We did that. The school committee did that. We sent it here, and the city, the mayor at that time, said no. He wanted to go to bid. So it went to bid, and the contract came in at $3 million more than what we were paying. And so at that point, Mr. McLaughlin made a motion that no longer will the school department deal with transportation. So as far as transportation is concerned, the city purchasing agent puts it out to bid, city awards the contract. All we do is track the money. We have nothing to do with it at all. So this is something you need to talk to the purchasing agent.
It just seems strange to me, and maybe a lot of people, that for 30 years, this guy's got the contract. It's, I mean, is it automatic? Like I say, is there any other people put in a bid, or is it just something, there's no bid, it just goes automatically, this guy gets it?
It doesn't come through the school department, so we don't know. You'd need to talk to the purchasing agent.
Because I think it's about time that we can look at some other transportation company coming in. I mean, this guy's been here a long time, he's doing a great job, but I still think we need a little change here.
Good point, Counselor, but it's
Okay.
the wrong folks, so
Yeah,
we can
okay.
take up the purchasing agent.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the summary sheet? Seeing none, we'll move to the next page, into central administration. It's page number 1, personnel services. Any questions on this page? Move to page 2. Any questions on page 2? Council Simonelli?
I don't want, first of all, I'd like to say, I don't want to be here making the only comments here. I wish.
Well,
people-
if you have questions, Council,
Yeah,
this
but
is
I
the
don't
place
want
to
to
ask
be a
them.
hog here, but I have some simple questions that, for a simple guy like me, is just, I need to have them answered. Okay, here we go again. I think I even asked you this question every year. Advertisements. Now I
This is on
see
page
it,
2.
you dropped it, $5,000. Now, problem I have with this is, you have 3 newspapers, right? And you put all the same big, giant, full-page pictures in all 3 newspapers, right?
No, what it is they're pictures of the same events, but there are different people in those pictures.
Well, as far as I see, I look at all 3 papers, and they all look like they're all the same,
Look closely.
Well-
Read the names underneath the pictures.
Well, anyway, another thing is what kind of hurts me a little bit, because since you, not just you, you sort of control the newspapers. And say if I wanted to put something in there and I go up to the publisher and say, yeah, blah, 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 I want to put this in, and then he looks at me, well, I can't really do it. You know, that's freedom of the press, and to me, it happened to me many times.
Counselor, do you have a question?
Well, that was the question. Do you control all 3 newspapers?
No, I don't, but thank you for thinking
Coun-
that I do. But if you have a question with the newspapers, call them.
I have,
Counselor,
and that's what, all right.
Counselor,
I'm sorry.
I appreciate the interest in asking the questions. By all means, ask the questions, but let's keep it to the budget. Okay. Are there any other questions on page 2? Move to page 3. Any? Oh, I'm sorry, Counsel Sani.
Thank you. You have some added positions. You have a senior clerk, typist. It seems like 7 new positions, or did anything moved around, or?
No, that's right. We did add clerical help because, of course, our population is growing, our schools are getting bigger, as you know. And so there are 3 people that were added down at the administration building, and there are 4 other people that were dispersed around the system. The high school especially picked up a few more people.
Also, you have a new position, payroll officer. Are they doing something different, adding?
No, it's just a different title. We've always had, in fact, I think you remember, Joe Nicotero was there for a number of years, and now he retired, and Luis Genualdo was taking that position.
Thank you.
Any other questions on page 3? Counsel Simonelli.
Here I go again.
Just as long as you're asking a question that relates
my
to the
question
budget, and you're on
is-
point, you're free to do so.
Yes, this is to you, Mr. President, to the superintendent. Your salary, $177,229. Now, how is that negotiated? Every year, do you get a raise, or does the school committee, they give you the raise?
No, what happens in my case is whatever the administrators or teachers settle for, I get that percentage. So
So-
if they get a 3% raise, I get. If they get a 2% raise, I get. That's what I get.
I mean, the poor mayor over here, we couldn't even get him a $40,000 raise for $130,000.
Counsel, let's keep it
Yeah,
to the
but
school,
this is- it
school
is kinda
budget. We
interesting
can
that-
talk about the mayor when he gets up here, but let's talk about the school budget. I'm sure there'll be
Thank
plenty
you,
of
Mr.
opportunity.
Capone.
Oh, one more question. I don't know if I could ask this question, but how many personnel in the whole school department make over 100,000?
I'm gonna make over 100,000. Mr. Obrinski will need a few minutes to figure that for you.
Approximately 23. Approximately 23.
That's right. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to we'll go into instructional, section 2, page 1. Any questions on this page? Seeing none, we'll move to page 2, instructional general expenditures. Any questions on this page? Seeing none, we'll move to page 3, continuation of instructional special expenditures. Counsel Marchese.
Just a quick question regarding the Devon School. Devon School, right? Yeah, the school. Has there been any savings on having that school there to the city of Everett, special ed, or is occupational education, does that have something to do with that school also?
Yeah, what's one of the things we're trying to bring in there, right now, we estimate that we probably saved $1.5 million by opening the Devon School. And one of the things that we'll talk with you and request from you as we chug along, is you looking at purchasing that building. We've saved $1.5 million, but we're still spending $550,000 a year on rent and taxes. We have to pay taxes on that building. So the city really has to look at it, the city government, and say, is it worth paying the $500,000 every year, or do we just buy it outright? But it is saving money. It's saving money on transportation, and it's saving money on tuition.
Okay, thank you.
Council Del Sol.
On that question, what would the sale of the school, how much would they be looking for that school?
They had worked out a formula when we got into this agreement, but I don't know exactly how much, but it would be probably in that $4 or $5 million category. But they're basing it on, I guess, what the values, what's happening to the values since we get into it.
Correct. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions on page 3? Council Sani.
The after-school program, does anybody pay for any of that services? Is it by people's salary, anything like that?
It's based on current income, and so obviously if a family is in financial need, their tuition is free. But if the parents are working, then they contribute X amount total.
And do we be able to do, help all the people that need the after-school program, or is there a list, waiting list?
There's a waiting list. Right now, we have a little over 500 youngsters in the program, but like I say, it's gonna take more money and more commitment from the state with tuition money to help more youngsters in. But we've got a waiting list.
Some pay on a sliding scale, some have vouchers from the state, and we also have grants from Department of Elementary and Secondary Ed that pay for some slots. There's all different ways that people can get into that program. But there is a waiting list for state vouchers, and there's also a waiting list, even parents that the ability to pay may not be there, but we try to help the ones that really need it.
Right, it's important to have that. Thank you.
Any other questions on page 3? Seeing none, we'll move to page 4, instructional position summary. Any questions on this page? Seeing none, we'll move to section 3, special education. Page number 1, personnel services. Any questions on this page? Council Del Sol.
Just explain the perfect attendance. What's,
Yes, we have negotiated with the Teachers Association, or union, that, you know, if they have perfect attendance, they get a day's pay.
okay, I was just curious why, perfect, that's fine.
651 teachers, you know, attendance is an important factor, because the one thing with us in our business, we have to cover everybody who's out. And so obviously, we're trying to encourage them to come to work every day. And that's just an incentive.
Do you know on average, how many teachers are perfect attendance?
We had it yesterday. How many was it? It was,
Yeah, I'd say approximately 100.
what was it, 103?
103.
103 out of 651.
Wow.
Oh,
Pretty good.
thank you.
Well,
Any other questions on this page? Move to page 2, special education general expenditures. Any questions on this page? Move to page 3, special education summary by position. Any questions on this page? We'll move to the next section, section 4, athletics. Page number 1, athletics general expenditures. Any questions on this page? Move to page 2, athletics budget summary. Council Simonelli.
Thank you, Mr. President, through you to the superintendent. It's just seeing here, it just seems kind of funny to me that the hockey budget is more than the football budget. Why is that?
because of the rental fees for the ice rinks. You gotta rent, we have to rent the rink by the hour for them to practice, play their games. Whereas for the stadium, we just pay 17,000, is it 17 or 20?
About $22,500 we pay for the stadium, but it's the ice rental, and I believe, if I'm correct, it's $160 per hour down the ice rink.
That's the killer.
I think it's time that we get our own rink, buy our own, have our own. But one more thing I just want to say, is the football, is that funded by anything to do with the what you call it, New Balance, they put any money into their uniforms?
We used to have an agreement with New Balance. Now we have an agreement, now we are a Nike team. New Balance decided to get away from football and concentrate on baseball, so New Balance actually dropped the idea of sponsoring football teams. So now we are sponsored by Nike.
And how much do they put in?
They don't give us anything up front. They give us some incentive for cleats for the kids, because the kids usually buy their own cleats, so they give incentive so the kids can get their cleats at a cheaper rate,
Just,
a less costly
just
rate.
cleats?
What they do is, when I say pay us, they help pay for the uniforms because they want us to wear their insignia.
Yeah.
And there's been a little bidding war between Nike and New Balance, because obviously, our football team does get a lot of recognition. So that's what they're looking for. So they give us $40,000-$50,000 a year towards the sports program, because what we do then is buy the girls and the boys' basketball uniforms, we outfit all of the teams.
Go
But
ahead.
the big thing is they just want the football team.
Yeah.
But they outfit everybody.
But if you get the contract from either New Balance or something, they do the football, but they also have to sponsor the rest of the.
They do. They sponsor every one of our teams.
Oh,
And that's why I
oh.
say, football is the
Right.
big thing they want, but off of football, then they pick up all the other sports.
Oh, that's a good thing. All right, thank you.
Counsel Sachetta.
Yeah, this is not a question on money, it's just a curiosity question on the rowing. Where do they do that?
Right here on the river. We now have, when I say we, it's Everett, Malden, Medford, Somerville. We're competing here on the river. They have boathouses, and we'll be looking for that. We talked about that at the last time we were here. But pretty soon we'll be coming to you asking for you to construct a boathouse for us on the river, so that we're down there now, but we're using Somerville's boathouse. And we'll be looking to build our own.
Thank you.
Counsel Marchese.
Regarding the hockey, don't we own that rink?
I believe, if I'm correct, the state leased the rink to the city for 10 years, and I believe the lease may be up right now and back out to bid. That's a question more for the city.
And is the $160 an hour, is that the going rate for
That's
rental?
actually not a bad rate, to be honest with
Oh,
you.
it's not?
This was a new ownership group this year, and it was a lot less costly than the previous years. It's actually a pretty good rate, Mr. Marchese.
So we're not overpaying for a hockey program, is what I'm saying.
Not at all.
Oh, good. I just thought if it was too expensive,
And
we
thi-
could negotiate
this-
something.
This particular company did a great job cleaning the rink, fixing it up, painting it. If you go down the rink at all, it's in really good shape.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll move to the next section, Section 5, Maintenance. Page number 1, Maintenance Custodian House Worker. Counsel Sachetta.
Yes, on the house worker salaries, I know years ago, we had a number of people working in the cafeteria and all that, and we did away with them. Now we have house worker salaries for $201,000, and on the next page, we have a cleaning contract for $275,000. What is the difference between the house cleaning and the contractor?
The house workers are a group of ladies that are assigned to the different buildings, and they spend their day just cleaning our bathrooms. As you know, all of our buildings have at least 1,000 people in them, yeah, especially the high school has over 2,100 people in it each day. So the bottom line is they spend their whole day going from bathroom to bathrooms. Once they clean this one, they get around, they come back to that one, go around again.
That's a house worker.
There's a house worker, cleans bathrooms.
And then the contract for the,
Contractor cleans the high school at night.
at night,
At night, they clean the high school.
just the high school,
That's all they do.
not the other schools?
No.
Thank you.
Any other questions on this page? Seeing none, we'll move to the next page, number 2, Maintenance General Expenditures. Any questions on this page? Counsel Simonelli.
Yes, thank you to Superintendent. The Devon School lease, it's $555,000. Could you give me an update of it, people exactly? Was there a 10-year deal? with the owner to rent it and then eventually buy it?
It is a 10-year lease, and the option for the city to buy is there at any time.
Oh, okay. I mean, we can do that too. And one more thing, security system. Because all your schools now have indoor, outdoor securities in all your schools.
Yes, we have.
Are they working?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Because I remember years ago, when I put a thing in there, when the schools were built years ago, the cameras were like already obsolete. But, okay, thank you.
Any other questions on this page? Seeing none, we'll move to page 3, maintenance summary by position. Any questions on this page? I believe that is the last page. Is there anything further? Is there anything further you gentlemen would like to add? Council Hamlin.
I may, I'd like to go back to the instructional section 2, I think it is, on page 4.
What page is that? Council, what section?
Page 4 of instructional.
Okay, instructional?
Instructional.
Okay, section 2 is instructional.
Page 4.
And page 4? Okay, Council?
Okay. To you, Mr. Forestier, I'm looking at the principal for the Devon School and the assistant principal for the Devon School and the principal for elementary school. Looks like we're going up by 1, going from 6 to 7 principals. And I'm looking at the principal for the Devon School. There was no principal last year? Is that what I understand, looking at this?
Yes, that's correct. The gentleman that we were assigning there ended up resigning.
Okay.
And also, we've actually added the Adams School. We never had a principal at the Adams School, but now you do.
No, all right, but I'm looking also at the assistant principal for the Devon School is going to be taken out, or is that going to be moved up to principal?
That's right, that's what happened. That assistant principal moved up to principal. That's why you have the Devon School principal as 1.
Okay.
That is the assistant moving up.
Okay, then will there be an assistant principal at the Devon School?
Not at this time.
Okay.
Any other
Make sure
questions?
1 and 1 was 2, that's all. Thank you. No
Any other questions? Excuse customary. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
What's the pleasure of the council? Chair would make a recommendation to accept the budget as presented. Second. It's been moved and seconded to accept the school budget as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That will be made as a recommendation as we go further.
President, we have the executive mayor's office in front of us.
If we could please have His Honor the Mayor before us. Before we start, too, do we have a representative of the solicitor's office here?
Mr. Chairman, make a motion for a 5-minute recess.
Yeah, why don't we take a 5-minute recess just to allow someone from the city solicitor's office to come in and clear the room out. 5-minute recess.
See you in 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah, they'll go on up. Leo. Well, all these custodians, yeah, someone doing toilets. You go to school with 100 people, you're a principal of the Adams School. Why couldn't you have money? You don't go to the principal at the debt, but you pay for the debt and buy that. You should have more, more principals than 2 or 3 in the whole city.
We're going to executive, but we're the first one.
I mean, these are all preliminary to the state passes the budget. Well, the state could pass it a little bit. Looks like it's all set. No, it just came out the other day, we saw it. I didn't drink out of that. I didn't drink out of it. I'm going. Yeah. All right. If you want to give us the extra 2 million, talk about it.
You did a good job. I did that every year and I got nowhere.
I did it, I think I asked the same question. Excuse me? Where is Everett? Where is Everett? Yeah, 150. 150. I used to play too, you know. I used to play too. I was a goalie. I used to call me Red Light. Oh, there's another one. Oh, there goes another one. I had more fun with the rentals. Oh, if it don't hit me in the head, it goes in. Kind of the truth.
I probably got everything except what you're gonna ask for. You want to sit here? No, I'll sit here.
I know it. Every year he crowds it. And they have to come or they get fired.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. 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 Why don't we resume the meeting? Melissa, is she?
I don't think she's in the building. There's not, she's not.
Okay, okay. The only reason why I asked, and I'll just let the members know, it's, yeah, we reconvened. When you're dealing with executive and legislative branch, you're talking about separation of powers, you're talking about equal branches of government. There's things you can and cannot do. And as the members are looking at the budget, wanted to be all on the same page on what can be done, what could be looked at, what can't be looked at. We don't have the solicitor here to get an opinion, so what we could do, if you'd like, is just go through, ask whatever questions you have, and we could always, you know, look at items to potentially cut or not cut down the road, and then we'll just run through the department. So it's whatever the body wants to do. So if that's, all right. So we have His Honor the Mayor before us, and Melissa Rodriguez, and in the budget book, I believe it's not including the different boards. It's page 3 and 4, I believe. Is that correct? Okay. So what we'll do is we'll start at page 3, and if there are any questions, we can start. Unless Your Honor, did you want to make any prefacing remarks first, or okay? So we'll look at page 3, and if there are any questions, we'll ask our questions, and then we'll move on to the next page.
Page 3.
Are there any questions on page 3? Counsel Sachetta.
Yes, the first item, salaries. In 2014, we had 467,000 approximately. And this year is recommended by the mayor, 747,000, a difference of $280,000. Could that be explained, please?
Well, if you want to go from 14, or you want to go from 14 all the way to 17, you want to skip 15, and, I mean, you want to go to 14 to 16, you want to talk about 15? So from,
2014 and 15, again, you're still over $250,000 this year.
Yeah.
I just wondering where that.
we are bringing in a policy person in the office to work on a multitude of issues that are facing the city, homelessness being one of them. You know, lots of issues with that alone. A lot of different issues happening with the casino coming into the community. The effects of that will be on the community. There's a lot of issues regarding just NLC, U.S. Conference of Mayors, Metro Mayors, MMA, Mass Mayors Association, where every day there's all kinds of legislation coming out, grant opportunities that we're not taking advantage of, signing on with different letters or going after bond authorizations for more federal dollars. I see that most communities have this person in their office, and then most of these communities, like cities like Somerville and Cambridge, I see them always getting, you know, a $50,000 grant for their wellness center, or a $100,000 grant for their, you know, meals program, and it seems like this person is doing that work on those issues. So it's something that I want to try out. I think it'd be a great service to the community. Currently, this person that I'm looking at works at one of these agencies. A job will be advertised, but I do see someone that will fit the bill for this position that I think would really take advantage of. Alone, the U.S. Conference of Mayors on a yearly basis gives out millions and millions of dollars in grants out to communities, and we're not taking advantage of it. Just that we don't really have, per se, a grant writer in the city. We usually would sub that out of the planning office, or maybe Mazi, or we'll collaborate with, you know, Human Services to write a grant, or write a small grant. This person will have tremendous skills in grant writing. I think it would be, you know, a good summarization of this person. I think I do have a job description. If you want to look at it, I'll pass that out to you.
I don't have to see the job. I'm just wondering, you're talking approximately $250,000 more. So that one person is going to earn this kind of money?
No. We joined the greeters into the office. I don't know if that reflects that. Do we have a breakdown of why?
So, on the next page, you can see that we actually only have an addition of 0.3 employees, full-time employees and one part-time employee. The policy director is one of those employees. We incorporated a 311 director who formerly was the constituent services director. And then we finalized basically the 311 program, or the constituent services program, as we had discussed at the last city council meeting, that there was a want for a 311 program here in the city. So you see those employees being incorporated into the budget as well. So while it doesn't look like you're having a lot more employees, it looks like we're going from 10 to 11. Technically, we're increasing from part-time to full-time for some employees, increasing hours so that we can be staffed 5 days a week in the mayor's office. And that's what you're seeing there. So the plan is for us to staff the 311 office on Fridays as well. And
The new policy director is going to get $98,000 a year,
that's the salary that has been contemplated, yes.
and the secretary you have here for $48,960. What secretary is that?
If I may, from the chair too, just so we can just keep it orderly, what I would recommend from the chair is that we just focus on what's on this front page. I know salaries is there, and we do have an increase in that. The second page has all of the jobs, And then when we move beyond the first page expenditures, then we can move to the second page and get into the individual positions. Because I think you might be flipping back and forth between the two pages, and it might get a little confusing. But whatever the will of the body is.
Okay, fine.
I will reserve your place first on the second page, Council Sachar. On the first page, I've got Council Marquez next.
On the page 1, on
Yes,
that 4?
page 3. Page 3 in the budget book.
Just the overall salaries. I had questions on page 4. I'll
Okay.
relinquish that.
Any questions about the expenses on page 3? Council, you good on page 3? Council Marquez, are you good on, you're good on page 3?
I'm good on page 3, yes.
Okay, Council McKinnon. Okay. Council Hammer.
Likewise.
Okay. Council Megan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Mayor, I noticed last year you had $400,000 budgeted for reserve fund in your office, and that's no longer there this year. Could you just explain that?
Good evening. The reserve fund for fiscal year 16 has zero budget because we are pretty much wrapped up with most of our collective bargaining, and all the potential increases are budgeted in the respective departments. So you'll see some slight increases across the board there, but offset by $400,000 decrease in the mayor's salary reserve account.
Thank you.
Council DeFlorio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. In-state travel, last year was budgeted for $4,992. I'm sorry, 2014. Last year was zero. I answered my own question, I'm sorry. Same thing with the out-of-state travel. You budgeted 10,000 last year. You used 8,170 up to now, and you only budget 3,583 for
So-
2016.
What we did was, a lot of that money was spent going to National League of Cities Conference, the Mass Muslim Association Conference, the US Conference of Mayors Conferences. So we built them into those line items instead, so that we could see that that's what the money was gonna be used for.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions on page 3? Council Sani.
On the official celebration, you have 77,000. Are we expanding a little bit more, or adding a parade or something? I mean, I know I like to see a parade, but I know it's costly.
Yeah, so we did budget, and we hope to supplement this with contributions, but if not having contributions, we plan to celebrate, to spend about $20,000 on Independence Day, $6,000 for the Mayor's Summer Concert Series, $2,000 Arts in the Parks, $15,000 on City Fest, back to school stuff, we spent about $1,000, Halloween, $5,000, tree lighting, $10,000, Easter, $5,000, spring and fall cleanups, about $2,000, grand openings, dedications, about $5,000, Dr. Seuss giveaways, about $1,000, and miscellaneous was about $5,000.
So on the celebration for 4th of July, are we doing similar to what we already have, or are we expanding to that amount?
We're gonna probably do exactly what we did last year. This year we'll probably be down at the Edith Street Park.
All right, thank you.
You will.
Council Del Sol.
Line item, professional development. Last few years, we had zero. Now we get 61,582. Is that with the casino?
That's going to be for employees. Different department heads have frequently come to me and wanted to get some further education in their field, take some certifications. A lot of the code department, I want to send them to become certified building inspectors, even though they have some money in their line items. If Rich or Melissa want to go to a conference and become certified in something else, I want to be able to have the money to allow these different department heads to get register for classes, take classes. So sometimes they don't have enough in their budget, and we run short. So I want to be able to have the money to say, whomever, if they're qualified and they're looking to do something that's going to better the city and bring more revenue into the community, be certified in something, better serve the public. I think education is important for them And a lot of the employees are, unfortunately can't afford higher education. So I want to be able to give them that ability so that can help the city also.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions on this page? Seeing none, from the chair, if you don't mind, I just have a couple quick ones on this page. Mr. Mayor, it looks like we've got itemized for fiscal year 2016 part-time salaries. Did we not have part-time last year, or are we just breaking it out separately?
That's Terry Shalsey. I don't know if she retired, so we brought her back to work downstairs in constituent services. She was great with the public. So that's full-time for her. Part-time, but that's all year long.
What did we do with the greeters position? Because I know we moved out everybody to put the greeters down.
We're moving everyone into that office. So my constituent services and 311, greeters will all be downstairs in the first office you walk into. That will be staffed Monday through Friday. I'm actually looking to hopefully get it staffed even on on weekends. Right now, of course, you can log on and or see click fix and do all that stuff. Yeah, they'll be down there taking, first person, people that come in. A lot of my greeters already are, my office staff do speak a multitude of languages. We did hire two new people that speak some different languages, but for the most part, we kind of lumped them all together because they're all kind of cross-work. They're all working on the same issues.
Sure.
So.
And it looks like a newly funded line for this year, too, is overtime. You have 5,000. Could you just address that?
That probably will be, I think, working on snowstorms and fires. I mean, different. We do. Yeah, we used to give them comp. A lot of employees. Let's say, for instance, a snowstorm or a fire, and my office is the first office always respond. We get the shelter up and running on the Conley Center. We're placing people in housing, working, it doesn't matter what it is, weekends, nights. I think yourself, you came down to one of our, one night down to the Conley Center when we had the issue down on Bow Street. So we would give comp time to the employees, and then the employees weren't taking it because really kind of not allowing them to take it. So we kind of need everyone at work every day. So, this way, we just give them some overtime and call it a day.
Okay. And then the auto hire is an increase by 2,000. Is the amount of auto hire going up, or the amount of individuals, the cost?
That's just the amount of traveling that we're doing, or I'm doing.
And then the last question I have on this page is other expenses. It was budgeted for $12,500 last year. As of the date that this was put together, I know there's a couple of months to go, but it was $3,300, looks like it was expended, and you're looking for an additional $7,500 for this year. So do you foresee, you must foresee that there's going to be additional expenses, but.
That's actually for the Collins Center. We use them to do CityStat, a statistics program. We just signed a new contract with them, so our invoices have just started to come in. Basically, right now, they've been working down the police station on overtime and at city services on gas and overtime projects. So they come in and they work with our staff to go through data to find ways for us to save money. And so that's what that is mostly for.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other questions on that page?
That's to work on abusive overtime and all that stuff, not on, on overtime, not additional overtime.
Okay. All right, we'll go to page 4, and as promised, Council Sucheta, you have the floor. Council Sucheta, you have the floor if you'd like.
Policy, let me get to that page. Yes, a new policy director for $98,000. We also have an executive manager and 2 secretaries, and of course your chief of staff, Melissa, who's well worth the money. But you've got 4 salaries there. If you get this $98,000, totaling almost $300,000. That's a lot of money for people in the office of the mayor, I think. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Council McKinnon.
Just a quick question for you, to whomever. How many employees right now you said you had part-times going to full-time. How many full-time are we gonna create from the part-time positions?
So it's a little complicated to look at, but if you look at your salary sheet, page 4.
That's why we have you
right?
explaining
Yeah,
it.
I'm gonna explain it to you. So in the,
Counselor, if you look at it, right now we have 10 3/4 employees, we're going to 11.
All right, so, but we said we were gonna take part-times and move to full-time.
we're actually moving 2 full-times back to part-time. In the last budget, we had made 2 employees full-time, who are working mothers, and they didn't end up wanting to go to full-time. So we're actually moving them back to part-time. So when you see an equivalency of full-time, it just means they work more than 20 hours. They don't necessarily work 35 hours, and that's kind of more of what I was getting at than anything else. So you're actually only seeing an increase of 1 full-time employee.
So and that would be because of what reason?
It's because we're trying to expand the constituent services program. So if you look at this budget, the first 6 employees will be located in the mayor's office. That's it. The rest of the employees, so 9 employees will all be down in the constituent services office.
So they'll be
Right.
downstairs greeting?
They'll all be downstairs doing the greeting, answering the 311 phone calls, dealing with people as they come in the door.
See, click, fix.
Right. A few weeks ago, I worked the greeter's office desk, and I couldn't believe the traffic that comes through. Whether it's someone applying for a hearing, or trying to figure out how to get a parking sticker, or just having a question about their taxes. So, I had a line. It was just me and I had a line, and I thought, we need more people. This isn't working. So, I don't even know if this is really going to be enough.
Yeah, while the rest of us are upstairs answering the phone, myself also included. I mean, I don't know if you are getting the phone calls like we used to get, but they are going right to the mayor's office now. I mean, the phone doesn't stop. I encourage you any day to come down, and some of you have been in the office. Everybody's on the phone, working on a particular issue at any time, and we're not just passing the issue on. The person who takes the issue is resolving the issue. That's the game. Don't take the call and then refer it to DPW. If you're referring to DPW, make sure that issue gets resolved at DPW, and you make that phone call back to that resident. So if that was a tree stump, or a cracked sidewalk, or a pothole, whatever it was, and granted, there's still lots of work in the streets to do, at least give people timelines.
You can track it better.
We're tracking it all with the C-Click Fix. Hopefully you all have it downloaded on your phones. You can take a picture of anything, send it right in, and that has been very widely used.
My other question would be, so if you're taking people and we're reducing the number of full-time, so we'll also be reducing their benefits, correct? Because full-times are the ones that get the benefits, part-time doesn't?
All of the employees in the mayor's office except 1 work more than 20 hours.
So everybody's,
Everyone has benefits, everyone except for 1 person.
okay, so there'll be, how many people will be gaining benefits?
No one's going to be gaining any benefits.
All right, so how many people have benefits now?
13, right? 1, 2.
Thirteen? So that includes what, health insurance, eye, dental, all that stuff?
We don't have dental.
Okay.
But yes, everything else.
All right.
They all pay into the pension system.
Thank you.
Councilman Casey.
Constituent Service 301 Director, he's got an increase of 25,000.
Yes.
And he'll be in charge, it actually looks like you're creating another department within the department, and that's, with the constituent services. And all these people at one time will be down in that small room when you come in?
The 2 rooms, yeah. So I don't know if you've seen it, but take a look at it on your way out. Everything's cleared out right now. We're just redoing the floor.
Yeah.
We'll have, desks all within whatever 3 feet, whatever
And
the
what happens,
spacing is.
someone will walk in and there'll be 2 or 3 people talking to them?
No, you have the private room. They can take
Yeah.
a constituent in the old park clerk's office.
Yeah.
They can take somebody in if it's if it's a matter that they want some privacy. You have the front where we'll be able to greet people. Most of our issues are really, it's lots of phone intake, and lots of the issues when people come over the counter, it's really not really private matters.
Yeah.
It's just issues regarding city, whether it's street sweeping tickets or, holiday trash. It could be anything. It could be anything.
And the 311 director will be there full-time in that
Yeah,
office?
Yes. That's gonna be Steve.
Steve? Be like a rubber room in that small thing, 40 hours a week. I think, and I know you have the, the policy director that you're adding to it, and not to blow smoke up your thing. I wish you were the highest paid person here. That's just a tradition that we usually have in the city of Everett. So I understand Mr. Comment, but I'm just making my comment tonight.
I appreciate that, Alderman. And Councilman Casey. Thank you.
Council Hanlon.
I have two questions. The first one is the constituent service aide, FT must be full-time. He went from 0.71% to 0, and he has nothing in his budget? Nothing for this year? That's the second one down.
That's Jerry Navarro.
Okay, but that's a zero amount of money in the budget.
Yeah, Jerry's gone.
Okay.
As you know, he's down at Director of Public
The
Works.
last one, constituent service aide, PT4, had one last year. It's going for, this year recommended 0, but you have an $18,900 in there.
That's Shalsey.
It's what?
Teresa Shalsey. Teresa Shalsey.
Just a 16 hour. Yeah.
Okay.
She was full-time, went to
Okay.
part-time.
Okay, I wish you had put a percentage in like you did with the other ones, because it looks like it's 0. 16 of 35 is like 50%.
You want to tell?
Yeah, anybody
You
who
know what
doesn't
I mean?
get benefits, or works less than the 19 hours to get benefits is zeroed out. That's why you see it that way. If you go back to your last page, those people are reflected in the part-time salaries line item. So they're actually considered a zero-numbered employee.
Okay, I guess. The other thing is I want to talk about is the policy director. And, I've heard all you've said about why you need that person and so forth. But all you've said are things that you said before that other people are doing. And are you taking these things away from other people, or is, because I know that, both the chiefs have put in grants, ASPA grants. School department's gotten grants. I think I had the budget department, I had the auditor got grants, back, and so I don't know how many other people are still doing grants. And for all the things that you said he's doing, it sounds like just another position that we're putting in there. Not that, I don't understand it yet, and I don't want to sound like I'm saying the wrong things to you,
No,
but I can't understand what this person's going to be doing if everybody else is going to be doing the same thing he was doing before. So,
I think I'm going to hand these out to you, but I'm going to just read one of these lines, and I think this probably is the best way, the best thing to say about what this person is going to do. Maintains awareness of legislative activities affecting city operations and the potential impact on city operations. Tracks state and federal legislation, anticipates legislative issues, and identifies opportunities to develop and influence policy to best meet the needs of the city and the city's residents. Updates mayor, department heads, and city government on important initiatives. How many times, Councilor, when you were mayor, that you would love to have gone to the U.S. Conference of Mayors, the NLC, MMA, Metro Mayors, and I know I'm missing one or two, and we couldn't have gone, just due to something in the mayor's office, and you had no one to send over to the NPO, to Tip Day, to work on, like Ferry Street funding, I did that up myself, and I had to miss other meetings here, and I've gone, and I did it, and it was fine. But this person, that's a $9-10 million product that we hope to get sooner than 2019, but gonna get in 2019. But that is what I want this person to do. If it could be just as easy as signing on to legislation, zero tolerance on guns, policy with all the other mayors or whatever it is. It could be things that easy that we're not doing, that I'm not doing, or the city of Everett is not doing, is not getting involved in writing letters to members of Congress. Those, remember, you've seen them plenty of times come across your desk, and you just never got a chance to do it, right? This person solely is gonna work state and federal legislation issues, goes to these meetings, talks to me about them. I probably will try to go to as many as possible, help me prepare for these meetings, because some of these are really, it's a little more, there's a lot more research you have to do on some of these issues that I can put into sometimes, just due to, being mayor, and you know how that is. And then, this homelessness issue, right now, I know this is, it's not really a city issue, it's more of a state issue, but we're spending $3,000 a month on a family to be in a homeless, in a townhouse, not townhouse, I'm sorry, in a motorhome in Malden. $3,000 is my mortgage at my house, probably all of our mortgages. So, I wanted to initiate, even if it's from the city of Everett, to get, to talk to, Governor Baker and our legislative, body and saying, hey, something is wrong here, So it's things like homelessness, it's things about transportation. Why is a homeless kid who leaves Everett and now living in Brockton, why are we transporting them from Brockton to Everett, costing us $3,500,000 a year? It's that kind of thing. I'm hoping in the first year, this person will pay for itself. And I'm hoping to have, by next year, at the budget time, here's an example of what this person has done. Kind of like what I talked about the asset manager, and we talked about why we hired that person. I'm gonna tell you about what that asset manager has done this year, And I wanna do the same thing with this policy person, and say, this year alone, not only did we do all this, but here's what we saved the city of Everett. I'm hoping to be able to do that, and if you can see, for yourself what else this person's gonna be doing. I just think we missed the boat on a lot of these different issues, because she's taxed to the hilt. This gentleman to my left is taxed to the hilt, doing what he's doing on a daily basis. Other than constituent service people in my office, I have no one else. I have my scheduler, who's Dolores, my executive secretary, and the rest of them are all answering phones and working on constituent issues, she's the chief of staff. She's dealing with the department heads and doing what she does on a daily basis, and I have no one to work with on priorities, really. I mean, we do. I mean, we're doing it with capital improvement plan and all that stuff, but I'm talking about state and federal priorities. And that's what a policy person will come in place.
Okay, thank you. I mean, it's just that, even this thing that you sent me,
It seems like other people are doing this.
we're doing this now.
Well, we are. I mean, we're doing some of it.
Yeah.
We belong to a lot of these organizations. Are we, putting 100% in all of them? No. No, when I go to a MAPC meeting or a Metro Mayor's meeting, sometimes I bring back the information and, I'll read over it, but then, give me an example of what just fell by the wayside that I was disappointed. The Transportation Act, yes. Yeah, that was quick. That's good. So there's things that we dropped the ball on that I don't want to drop the ball on anymore when it comes to state and federal legislative priorities.
Well, okay, it's just that, times have changed, and I know times have changed. From you to me, it's changed drastically. I remember 5 years ago, it was a part-time job, the mayor.
Right.
It was part-time,
Right.
come to a meeting and do that and everything, and I know times have changed. It's just that it looks like, to me, that we're taking a lot of the things that we do, and we're gonna give it to this person to do, and I don't know what we're gonna free up the other people to be doing,
Well, I really want to focus on, with my planning office to do a lot of transportation stuff, to really work on, that's gonna be, I think, if you said, Mayor, what do you want to concentrate on next year, your whole year, I'm gonna tell you it's gonna be mostly transportation.
Okay. Thank you.
Council Sani.
Thank you. The average on the salaries when each employee, when they got an increase, is it 3% or did they get 5% or 8%?
The average employee got a 2% increase. However, as we discussed last year, we did do the salary study, and we did implement the salary study within this budget. So on the bottom of each year of your salary personal services charts, there's notes as to what the increase they received was. So if they received an upgrade based on the reclassification study, it's marked, or if they received a 2% COLA, it's marked.
Okay. The other question is the 311 Director of Constituent Service that you said they're gonna be open now on Fridays? Do
That's
we-
the plan. I don't know if they know that yet, but.
They don't know yet. Do we know
Cat's out of the bag.
Do we know the hours will be? Is it like half a day or?
I think we're planning on having you staff the whole day, correct?
Yeah.
Like an 8 to 4 type of position?
Yes, yeah.
And we'll know down the road eventually and if
The
direct-
goal, my goal is to work with the clerical union, which right now we're negotiating their contract, is to get the building back open full day on Friday.
I just
So-
don't want it to cost too much to the taxpayers. as-
No,
We all
no.
do want it open, a lot of people want it open Friday, but without costing too much money.
Yeah, no, and that's our goal. I mean, that's my goal, is, Mondays and Thursday nights is working out tremendously. It really is. I mean, people in the city, you love it. But I have to agree. I think some of you had said, we want Fridays open, and I wanted Fridays to be open also. That is my goal this year, to get Fridays back open. So we'll be open, not only 42 hours, but we'll probably be open now, like, there'll be 50 hours a week. Which I think for our city, with all that's going on, especially, with the resort down the street, and just last week, we had another hotel operator come to us on Victoria Street, of all streets, to not get everyone alarmed here, but, that could be encompassing parking garages downtown, that could be encompassing a lot more. So we have so many things happening, so, I mean, once things come to fruition, I'll be coming out to you with them. But, when a developer says they want to come on a Friday and talk to you about a hotel they're going to buy on the Parkway, it's poor, and it's just me and Melissa greeting them, and maybe Dolores. No, Dolores is always here. The three of us, it'd be nice to have the building open and vibrant, so, that's another reason. And then, on Fridays, how many of you have you probably been out front and people still pulling on the door, trying to get in? I even want to go to Saturdays, but I know I'm crazy. But, no, I mean, Saturday's a work day. I mean, Saturday, I know, but I'm going to aim for Fridays for now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Council McKinnon.
Through you, Mr. President, to the mayor. Mr. Mayor, let me see, the job description policy director, I'm reading it now. Will they be a registered lobbyist?
No.
And why is that?
I don't think
Some of the job descriptions that they have in here, maybe they should be.
Well, I know in one line it says coordinates, develops, and leads strategies on legislative and regional issues with mayor and lobbyists. We do have lobbyists that work for us now. Our senator and our rep are our lobbyists on the state level. Our congressmen, our senators are our lobbyists on a federal level. As we know, especially on a federal level, our state level, Senator DiDomenico and Representative McGonigal are always available for me. It has been sometimes daunting to get one of our federal legislators to, speak to. Sometimes it's mostly with their staff. No, actually, I can't say that about Congressman Capuano. He's been great. But this person will deal with the lobbyists that sometimes have more influence in Washington than say some of our elected officials sometimes. It's funny. Some of these lobbyists have more influence because they cross party lines with both groups in Congress, and sometimes our elected officials can't. But this person will not be a lobbyist, not be a registered lobbyist, won't be a requirement.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Councilor Simonelli.
Thank you, Mr. President, through you to the mayor. On this policy director, did you hire a person yet already for this job?
No, I do, I have spoken to someone. Someone has come in to speak to me about this position. I approached this person. She currently was working over at the Mass Municipal Association. She did this job down in another city prior. And that mayor had left and took higher office. She worked for him. Did not want to go to where he was going. So she went to the MMA, and she's probably the number one person at Mass Municipal Association. So I'd like to keep between us. But they don't pay her enough. They don't, some of those quasi agencies don't pay.
So you're gonna be hiring this person soon?
Yeah, I think so, if she still wants to come here. It was about a month or so ago we last spoke. But I know she'll do great things here.
Okay, one more thing. She is not gonna be the liaison between the city and the wind project, is she?
No,
That's
that
a
will,
separate job.
that will be David.
Right.
David's worked on that from the beginning. She does have experience in gaming, but,
She won't be involved in the process.
no, well, we're all involved in the
Well,
process.
I mean, you know, like.
She won't be the person you'll be talking to, you'll be still talking to David.
Right, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Counselor Hanlon.
I hate to beat a dead horse.
That's all right.
Does this particular person you're talking about, now you said you talked to him?
To her.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you said.
That's all right.
Matter of fact, I wasn't gonna say that, but you did say him a few minutes ago.
Did I?
Yeah, and.
I'm sorry.
But anyway, is there a resume? Is there any kind of an application or anything?
Yeah, she has a very impressive resume. I would, I could exclude, cancel out her name and so forth.
Yes. I was just gonna ask you to do that. Cancel everything about it, and I'd just like.
You'd like to
say
see
that.
what type of
Yes.
quality caliber of the person she is? Yeah, I think we can do that. Okay.
We'd ask you to keep it confidential, as we go through the process, out of respect for her.
Yeah, out of respect for her, I would just say exactly, I wouldn't want her to lose her job if, for some
Yeah, and I
reason.
don't wanna know where she works, I don't wanna know how old she is, I don't know what she looks like, nothing. Just want, I don't even
Well,
want.
based on her resume, you may remember her from your days, so. But I will definitely,
Okay, thank you, thank you.
share that with you.
Any other questions? All right, from the chair, just a couple of quick ones. Before I make any remarks, I just want to preface, I said this to you last year before the budget. We are very fortunate to have such hard workers here at City Hall. Everybody takes their job seriously, they're professional. Your staff is fantastic, especially the person to your right. I have talked to her and Steve, nights, weekends, holidays. They respond all the time. I don't expect a response, and I get one. I shoot an email out and go, it's a holiday,
Right.
enjoy your day, I'll talk to you later on, but I want to get this before I forget about it. Boom, I've got a response within 20 minutes. So we're very lucky, you have a great staff, and I know we all appreciate everything that they do. And it always brings me back to my second point, which is tough economy, we're trying to do the best we can, everyone's trying to do more with less. I think Melissa had mentioned that the majority of employees are getting a 2% pay increase. I was just looking at a few of these, and I know that there's one position, not earth-shattering numbers, but deviating from the standard a little bit. 6%, then there's executive manager position is 8.7%, and the big jump is constituent services, and that's, the 52%. Are there more duties and obligations going with that, or is that just reflective of the study that basically says a person doing this kind of work should be compensated at this rate?
I can't answer the last part. I know Melissa can. I don't know what the rate for the 311 director is, but the constituent services / 311 director will incorporate more work. That is Steve Sapino, who does work 24/7.
It doesn't work at 3 people.
He doesn't work with 3
Yeah,
people.
true enough.
He really does. I mean, it was a godsend to find him. I don't even know how I found him. I forget how that worked out. But he's going to be doing a lot more work. In charge of this whole group below him to work on the 311 calls, the C-Click fix, the kitchen assistant service stuff, and everything I handle him. Every time someone asks me something, I just shoot the email to him.
Yeah.
This lady wants this, or this gentleman wants this, bang, it goes right to him. And you know what? I see that person 5 days later, thank you, it was resolved.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what it was, but I just know I sent it to him.
They got done, yeah.
So, it was, we did give him, this isn't reflective of what he was doing. He was getting a little more money, because we did give him some more money from somewhere else. So, though it raised looks that big, it really wasn't. He was getting some money somewhere else from another line item. He was in the high 50s. Dolores is the executive manager. She'll be here till 10 o'clock tonight. She'll be here on Saturdays and Sundays. She definitely makes sure my life's a lot easier regarding my schedule and really working. As you can imagine, how many people want to come into this office on a daily basis, especially today, what's going on down the street. She happens to manage them all, and does a wonderful job at it. And what was the third position?
It was,
Chief of
I
Staff?
think that was, Chief of Staff was, yeah. one
Yeah,
of them,
she's overpaid.
Yeah.
Cut her. She's making more than I am.
Overpaid, overworked.
She's making more money than me.
So, the only other question I have is if I'm reading this correctly with the tabs, and you've got the footnote 3, it looks like there are proposed 3 new positions? Is that what we have? The policy director, secretary, and secretary constituent services.
Yeah, we eliminated 2, and we have 3 new ones.
Okay. I have no other questions.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
We do have the salary study for you if you want it.
Okay.
Yes, where is that?
Councilor DeFlorio.
Mr. Chairman, are we, as we go through this book, are we making the cuts while the people are here? Because I would hate to
Yeah.
go through this all over again. and
No,
people
no,
are
we,
not
we
here.
are, this particular one, we were looking to get an opinion from the city solicitor. She's not available tonight, so what the chair would recommend is hold off on any discussion about cuts until we can get word back from her, because you're dealing with a sensitive issue, because you're dealing with different branches of government. You've got the executive branch, you've got the legislative branch. There might be things that, some people want to go and address, and we may not have the authority to address it. So rather than get into that, I'd rather just get an opinion from the city solicitor for us, and then we could always just, we've asked our questions, we could reserve any decisions on different things you want to do and address it at a later
We have to go back to
time.
this again, is what I'm saying.
For this particular department, I think you would.
It-
But
Just this
just this department.
If
Okay,
I,
but the
if I
rest of the
can
departments-
just
Sure,
say
Mr. Mayor.
something.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we did this last time, and we went all the way to the Attorney General, I believe, and the Attorney General reported back to us that you should have the, city solicitor should be the final call on it, and I remember her letter stating that her belief was that correct me if I'm wrong, her letter stated that.
I don't even remember.
Yeah, but her letter stated that, you guys can't cut my budget, I can't cut your budget. That was that's what happened last time. Is that right?
She cites the City of Boston case, that I believe John always brings with them. But, yeah, she cites the City of Boston case and some basically says that.
Right, so the Attorney General gave it back to her, and that was her opinion then. I'm sure it'll be her opinion again now. So that's it.
Okay. So if there are no other questions.
finish my question.
Councilor DeFlorio, well, yeah. it was-
That's okay.
Okay, go
But
right
with the
ahead.
rest of the departments, we are gonna do that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
That-
that's the intent, yeah.
Okay. Because I don't wanna.
No,
go
no,
through the whole
absolutely,
book
that's the
and then-
intent. It's best to do it while the department's in front of you, because that way, if you have any further questions, or if there's any action that's being taken that would be really detrimental to that department, they'd have the opportunity to address
To
it.
defend.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman.
Council Hanlon. Oh, absolutely. And you could even, the night of, when you're voting.
That's what I meant the last time.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, so we've got various departments within the executive branch. We have licensing. which
Are
I
we
believe-
finished with the mayor?
Well, there are other
I know.
departments within it, yeah. Yeah. Whoever does not need to be there, by all means, step away. Anyone who's going to stay on for the other departments, thank you very much for answering the questions and for all the information. So
Well-
licensing looks like the next one. So whoever is coming forward for licensing.
I think we're gonna do all the,
Okay.
we'll do all the,
And I think that's pages
Commissions.
25 and 26 in the budget book for licensing. And I think licensing is level funded. That's, for the councils, it's 25 and 26, I believe. So on page 25, Council Hanlon. Okay. On page 25, are there any questions on page 25? Well, this is so small, if you want to take 25 and 26 collectively. If there are any questions in either page. No questions from the body? Okay. The next group is conservation.
If I could just that one.
Council
strange
Hanlon,
question.
absolutely.
Through you to his honor the mayor. Are your commissions submitting their reports regularly and on file with the city clerk?
yes.
Okay, that was my question, and that's for all of them, all the commissions. So won't have to ask that anymore.
Any other questions with the licensing? We'll move on to conservation, and I believe that's pages 27 and 28. Are there any, Council Sani?
I just had a question. The department requested 30,000 for the recycle coordinator, but the mayor requested a little less for him. Is there a reason why you didn't honor, was he working the same hours, or was he working more, was he?
We just, we had nothing to compare his salary to. When we did the salary study, most cities, I don't believe, had a recycle coordinator. So we gave them a 2% cost of living.
2%? Okay, that's all I need to know. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Council Simonelli?
Yes,
He's getting 26,100. 26,100. The rest of the money goes to the board members. Yeah. Yes, he got,
It's not yours.
that's okay. Yes, he received the cost of living increase.
Wow.
The 2% cost of living
You,
increase.
yeah, not for nothing. This guy does a great job over there. And, for what he's getting here and what he puts in every day, on the weekends, Sundays, coordinates everything. And I just think it's an injustice that this man's only making $26,000.
Well, he is a retired school teacher.
I don't, fine with me, but still, I mean, what he
I think
does-
you can only make a certain amount of money.
For the things he does, mostly on his own time, I think he deserves more, and he has no really help, so that's fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council Marchese?
You know, anything that's level funded, or even something like that, that says a 3%, increase, why don't we take them collectively, move for favorable action and move it on? You're not going anywhere, just get it done.
That's fine. You might have different people popping up and back, but, so I'm sorry, Council, what did you want to do?
Everything, like license committee, all these committees here, they're all level funded. The only thing that was at a 3%.
Do we have?
Mr. Chairman, if we could, I mean, unless somebody has a question, and
Yeah.
most of these are all level funded.
Oh, yeah, it's
I mean,
absolutely.
I
Are
mean,
there
unless
any?
somebody has an individual thing, I agree with Council Marchese, you should just, I mean,
Absolutely.
just briefly view over them. If anybody has a question, if not, we can just move on to health and
Sure.
wellness.
Yeah.
Let me ask the guests, do you anticipate any other members from the boards coming up, or you'll be handling it for everybody?
We'll be handling the board.
Okay, that's fine. So what we'll do is we have Conservation, Planning Board, Board of Appeals, Disability Commission. For the members, Conservation is pages 27 and 28. Planning Board is 29 and 30. Board of Appeals is 31 and 32. And then Disability Commission is 71 and 72. And those are all level funded. So take a look at those and see if there's any questions for those
Say Board of
departments.
Appeals also?
Board of Appeals, correct. That's 31 and 32. Folks at home cannot hear your illustrious words, so if you could make sure when you're asking questions, you have your microphones on, and when you're not, make sure your microphones are off. Thank you, Counselor. Any questions about Planning Board, Board of Appeals, or Disability Commission?
Favorable action.
Seeing no questions, we'll accept those. Well, excuse the customary thanks, the members first. Thank you very much. We appreciate your time and your attention. So, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the will of the body was to take licensing, conservation, planning board, board of appeals, disability, collectively accept them as presented favorably. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You have so moved. The next group is health and wellness and recreation. And I believe,
63.
yeah, the 63 to 65 and I think 77 to 79 I've got marked for something.
Wow.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you very much for being here. If you could please just introduce yourselves for the record. Yeah, when you'll see it, when it turns green, that means it's live. Okay, thank you.
I'm Karen Avila, Director of Energize Everett.
Very good.
Alba Cruz Davis. Alba Cruz Davis, Acting Director of the Health Department. You have to excuse me.
Oh, sorry to hear that. Okay, so we've got pages 63 to 65. So, on page 63, are there any questions? Councilman Napolitano.
Looking at almost a $200,000 increase from last year to this year, what's constituting that?
So there are a couple,
You just have to hold it up. You don't have to hold it.
there are a couple of things. One is, as you may know, we've had an increased population amongst our children in the Everett Public Schools. So we have a vacancy with them for a position for a nurse. We've added another school nurse who's coming to the school right until Fred Bart's here, and Superintendent Bart's here, and Ms. Lorenzky and the mayor are coming on to us. Additionally, as you know, we added health and wellness coordinators because of the mayor's health initiative, so it's down to you guys add health and wellness branch to the health department. Additionally, we have an assistant clerk that's coming on a part-time basis because beyond the expansion of our staff citywide, or physically, we're also bringing on 3 additional staff through a grant that we just received from the Massachusetts Department of Public Health, so it's coming down the pipe. So we're pretty much expanding about, we've been about 10 employees just in the past year, and then we just move this year, in July 1, we'll have about 3 employees.
Councilor Hanlon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You had just mentioned you had added a health and wellness person?
Yes.
I'm looking in the budget here, and it shows a 0 amount for the health and wellness supervisor. Is that the same person, or is that someone different?
No, I apologize. So the health and wellness coordinators, as you know.
If I may, I'm sorry to interrupt you. If we could just stay on page 63 first, and then we can move to all the salaries. I think that's
we
really
on?
what the big questions are going to be, will be the questions about salaries.
Gotcha.
So are there any questions about the expenses on page 63? If there aren't, we'll move right to the next page, and Councilor Hanlon, I'll hold your spot on the floor. Any questions on 63? Seeing none, we'll move to the next page. 64, Councilor Hanlon, you have the floor. I apologize for interrupting both of you.
No, thank you. And I apologize for the confusion. So
Okay.
last fiscal year, we added 2 part-time health and wellness coordinators. This year, we've asked for them to be brought on to full-time. So hence the .57 to 1 FTE for each of those 2 health and wellness coordinators. Additionally, we've asked for an assistant clerk, again, to help with the increase in payroll and staff and grants management that we're going to be doing internally within the health department because of this new grant and the expansion of our staff.
Okay. I'm looking at that footnote for that, and it says that this position has been moved into the health and wellness budget. Is there another budget coming up? See the footnote?
If I may.
Okay,
Oh.
sorry. So that position has been moved into the budget for the Health and Wellness Center. Sorry, yes. That's why it's been zeroed out.
So is that another department or another section or something?
Yes,
Yes.
yes. It's the Health and Wellness Center.
Okay.
Yes,
Formerly Recreation.
Okay.
yes.
Do you have any other questions,
Thank
Councilor
you,
Hanlon? You
Mr.
good?
Thank you.
Councilor Marchese.
So this health wellness supervisor position is not funded in this? I'm a little
No,
confused
it's
here.
now,
You have
It's now moved into the former Recreation Department.
Okay.
It'll be the Health and Wellness Center
Okay.
Department budget.
And you said that Superintendent Forrester added nurses?
Yes, so we had been approved for the increase of one school nurse, and we also had a vacancy. So we are increasing the school nurses by one position.
Okay, 'cause it
And
didn't
the
say-
schools pay, yes, you know, the school department pays for all this.
Oh, 'cause it didn't
Yes.
say a vacancy here, that's why I was just curious
Yes.
where it was coming
Yes,
from.
and they're actually starting, one is starting June 1st, and the other is starting June 8th, because we needed to train them during the school year in order to be ready to be part of the school camps this summer.
And this is part of that nurse RN 24, that's what that,
Yes,
there's two of them?
yes, yes,
Okay,
that
so-
budget line
all
item,
right.
yes.
Usually it would say it wasn't funded last year, right? Like, 'cause I know there was like almost, like you said, 300,000 added to this budget, right?
Just to help clarify, there is, one of the director jobs was a grant-funded employee that's been moved over, and you also see there's a Director of Health and Human Services that was created as part of the administrative code, so that top salary there is driving some of the increase there. So with the administrative code, there's a Director of Health and Human Services position that would oversee this particular arm of the government. So that salary is budgeted in there with the anticipation, with the administrative code being adopted, that we would be able to hire that position to oversee Health and Human Services.
And who presently oversees the Health and Human Services?
Alba.
So you're gonna have two of them?
No, I'm the health director, the public health director.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry, absolutely, sorry.
I'm gonna try to clarify. If you remember correctly, when we passed the administrative code, when we saw the presentation, we developed different branches of government. One of the branches of government that we anticipated was the Health and Human Services Division. So in the Health and Human Services Division was the REC, the Board of Health, Human Services, Veterans, Council on Aging, all fell within this branch of government. And in the administrative code, there was a director of this branch of government. And where we put that director, because we had to put her or him somewhere, was in this budget. So what you're seeing here is the Director of Health and Human Services. It's a department head that will be, like the CFO or like City Services, overseeing various departments within their department.
Okay, so we're gonna have a director looking over the other director.
It'll be just like the finance department, where you have your chief financial officer, and they oversee the budget director, the purchasing director, the collector, the treasurer. It'll be just like that. It's the same type of division. It was one of the suggestions that came in when we did the study with the Collins Center. If you remember, we presented that to you. One of the suggestions was move parking to the police station, put constituent services in, and create this Department of Health and Human Service.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Council Mangan, but before you take the floor, I just got another notice that folks at home are still not hearing us, so let's just all try to make a better effort about speaking into the microphone. So it's tough. It's a little awkward the way it sits in the desk, but Council Mangan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just if you could answer, for instance, all these nurses, I mean, some of them are small appropriations from last year to this year, but some of them are really big. Could you just explain that?
Yes. So as you may know, the nurse is unionized. As part of that union contract, I have to give them a step increase on their anniversary date. So what you see is a reflection of that step increase as per their union contract.
Okay.
And hence, that's a lot of, yeah, that increases my budget significantly.
So just as example, some of them are close to 10,000 and some of them are 2,000. Is that just based on their years of experience, or?
Yes, and
The step plus an increase?
If I may, the negotiation happened during this fiscal year, so what you're essentially seeing is the result of a 2-year increase.
Yes,
Because
sorry.
they unionized this year, and they're entitled to a step increase next year, and then as part of that union negotiation, they fell into certain slots in the steps because of their years of service, so it all kind of is reconciled now, but there was a big shift of people and positions and how it's, how it lays out in the salary chart.
Okay, and that's what seems like for this department, it seems like that's where most of the increase, the big
Yeah,
increase.
and just
Yeah.
as a note, all of the school nurses are included in the chargeback portion of the school's budget, so
Right.
it's kind of a wash, but yeah, the unionization of that created a whole new structure of how their vacation's taken, how their sick time's taken,
Right.
how they're compensated, so there's some things in there that looks like a giant increase, but vacation and stuff was ratcheted down, so they now follow, the school nurses now follow the same schedule as the school teachers, so that they're in when the school's open, and they're off when school's closed, and there was a reduction of vacation time and such, so there's, it's a little too much to explain now, but
Yes.
that's the result of it.
No, that's
And they're
fine.
working more hours.
Thank you so much, I
Yes.
appreciate it, thank you.
Counsel McKinnon.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. I want to go back to the health and wellness. Now, it was a good explanation, but, I have a but. Was that a new position that was created, or was it just shifted over?
So it's technically, the Health and Human Services Director is technically a new position. We have not posted it yet. It could be combined with the Board of Health Director or with the Director of Human Services or with the Veterans Director, I don't know.
Has there been any money expended for that position as of
There's
yet?
been no one hired, there has been no money expended for that position.
Okay, so we're looking for someone now?
Yes.
With the hopes that we pass that here and
Right,
and we
when
fund
you
it?
approved it, we would never have hired someone before you approved it in the administrative code. Once the administrative code passed, we incorporated that into the budget, and we'll obviously start to look for someone once money is appropriated, but no, without any money appropriated, we did not fill that position.
Okay, and this position right here, so this is a new position that we'll be looking at tonight, whether or not we want to approve or not?
This is a new position, like I said, it could be combined. We don't know, because we haven't posted it yet, so I don't know if, people who will apply. It could be like.
Could be someone that's already in
It
existing,
could be
okay.
like the CFO/auditor, exactly. That could happen that way, I don't know. But we certainly will be posting it and seeing who applies from internally and the public.
And just for the viewing public, what's the price on that?
This is based on the salary study that we gave to you, it's $87,322.
Okay, and that would be for the, supervisor or the director?
That would be for the Director of Health and Human Services, and they'll supervise 6 departments.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Counsel Hanlon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Back to health and wellness. I see that we have 2 wellness coordinators, and I'm just gathering that they're going to full-time?
Yes.
Okay. So if the health and wellness supervisor went to another department, what are the wellness coordinators doing in your department?
Oh, no, so health and wellness would still be part of public health and the health and wellness center. Under, if let's say there's a the person would oversee all of these. But the health and wellness coordinators that are here are part of the public health department.
Okay, I have no problem with that, but I'm trying to do budgets,
Yes.
And the 2 wellness coordinators, why didn't they follow the wellness supervisor?
Okay.
I think we know what you're asking. So the health and wellness supervisor is technically now the superior person or the director at the new rec, at the fitness center. The wellness coordinators, they don't have the same role. They're not working at the fitness center. They're actually working in the health department, working with individuals on health insurance issues, et cetera. So
Okay.
it's a different scope.
Okay. I have one more question, and that's to our auditor. And I see that the nurses have not settled their union contract yet. And I'm wondering if money has been set aside for that somewhere else in the budget.
I'm sorry, but the nurse's contract has been settled, and all the positions within this budget as presented is including all of the steps and the COLAs that have been negotiated as such.
Get the wrong note in here then, because this says they haven't settled.
Sorry.
Okay. Good question, good answer. Thank you.
Any other questions on 64? I have one from the chair. Objection. It looks like, and this may have been asked, I apologize if it isn't, I'm
No,
trying
no
to
problem.
keep track of everybody. It looks like there's a new job, senior account clerk.
Yes.
Did you address that?
Yes.
I'm
So that's
sorry.
no, that's okay. So that's the individual that we're bringing on part-time, again, because of the increase in staff. But by the time we're done, come mid-July, we would have increased approximately 10 positions, including the three new individuals that we'll be bringing on through this Mass Chapter 1422 grant that we just received to address diabetes, obesity, and cardiovascular disease. So it's a great new initiative, but again, it means another grant and another grants management role for the individual. This person is working part-time, and the role will be to help our clerk.
Okay. So we'll have one full-time senior account clerk and one part-time?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Counsel Hanlon?
Just one quick question. Director of Human Health Services, is that you? Who's the director of the?
No, so that's the position that Melissa was speaking to, that they're going to hopefully fill, but they wanted your approval for the admin code before they even posted the position.
Okay. And I'm very sorry, what is your position here?
Energize Everett.
Yes, I'm the director of Energize Everett. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so any other questions on 64? So we'll move to 65. I believe that falls under the umbrella for that area, right? To make sure we're not stepping into new territory. Okay. Any questions on page 65?
Just one, Mr.
Counsel
Chairman.
Hanlon.
The farmer's market, that's, it says 15 hours, is that a
Yes.
week?
Yes.
A week?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. I think that takes us through Health and Human Service, I believe. What's the will of the council? Whoop. Is that health and wellness, though? Well, I guess it's all in the, oh, let's go there. Okay, page 77, Office of Health and Wellness. Yep. I guess it goes to 79. So we'll start at 77. Are there any questions on page 77? Then we'll move to page 78. Are there any questions on page 78? We'll go back to 77. Okay. We're at 77, and we can move forward if everyone's ready. Anything on 77? Seeing none, we are on page 78. Are there any questions on page 78? Counsel Sani, did you have a question?
No.
For 78?
Nope.
Counsel Del Solo.
Just a quick question on, where am I here? The child care provider, this is all up the old high school, correct?
Yes, it is.
That's just one position?
Yes.
So all these three positions that were not there last year, receptionist, childcare, and the program assistant, that's all tied into each other?
Well, that was the previous rec center, so we're actually a whole new entity now.
Oh, I see, okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Counsel Sani.
Have we hired a health and wellness director yet?
Yes, that's Karen.
That's Karen.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, I just said Energize Everett.
Yeah,
Yes. So,
but it's merging into.
yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, yeah.
So are you working up at the old high school then, in the?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and you do you set up the programs that are going on, like, for, like, if someone wanna do classes up there and stuff, like the Zumba classes? and
Yes.
exercise class? Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions on page 78? Counsel Simonelli.
Thank you, through you to President, to Health Director, Health Director. Does the job, the Assistant Finance Director, went up, it was 35,000, and why was the increase up 17,000?
Are you back to, so, okay,
No.
yes, no, are they on you?
It's
Are
not,
they on
it's,
Stephanie, or is
it's
that
assistant
on-
fitness director.
Yeah, if I have it
Oh,
right, it's
okay,
page
sorry.
78, it's the third line down.
Yeah,
Fitness-
I'm
assistant
just,
fitness
you
director.
said assistant finance director, I think you
That's
meant
because you have
assistant
such a
fit-
presence in the room, Rich, that's what
I
it
think-
is.
I think you
It's,
meant assistant fitness
But
director.
it's assistant fitness director, the third line down.
Yeah, and that position's budgeted now because it's an expanded role up there. We have expanded, a larger facility and expanded hours, so we have our 2 assistant supervisors paired equally, recreation supervisor and a fitness supervisor, so.
Did they add more job prescription for that raise, or was just
Yeah, it's more
contract? or-
more job description, more duties and responsibilities and expanded hours.
What did they do?
What is that for? Okay. He does all the hiring and all the planning for the fitness classes. I oversee that.
Okay, that's good. Good job.
Any other, Councilor Del Sol?
Just one question, might get off track. How many members are up there now?
Over 2,000
2,000.
residents from Everett.
It's very nice up there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Councilor Hamlin?
I apologize if I missed Councilman Simonelli's question. I was discussing with something else. We were talking about the Health and Wellness Director. Is that what?
Assistant
Yeah.
fitness.
Okay. I'm looking at the Health and Wellness Supervisor from page 64 that was moved to this department, but I can't find it on this list. The Health,
They changed the title to,
what's the title change to?
Health and Wellness Director, the
Oh,
top
all
top
right.
one.
Okay.
And that's
Were you the-
Karen right here.
Were you the supervisor? Was that you before?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Okay. Now, and that might be the same question. Your salary has certainly changed. Your responsibilities must have changed too?
Yes, it did.
Okay.
So when
It
Karen
increased.
was hired, she was hired as the Energize Everett coordinator and took on more than I think she ever bargained for because she ended up running the entire fitness center up there.
Okay. And you're still at the high school?
Yes, the old high school.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, then 79, I think it's just a carryover, but can take a look at that if there are any questions on 79. I think it's a carryover of, yeah, because you've got clothing allowance, maybe the only thing that looks like it stands out differently. Okay. Any questions at all? Okay. Excuse the customary thanks. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
What's the pleasure of the council? There's a lot going on in this department. I'm not so sure, at least I can speak for myself, I'm not so sure I could really make any kind of decision on what to do with items, but I'll leave it up to the body. It's a big department, there's a lot of pages. If anyone has a motion they want to make, feel free to do so.
Excuse me. I'll make a motion for favorable action as presented, but with the understanding that we can still cut this later, before we accumulate all our meetings.
Okay.
Second motion.
Second.
Moved and second to accept the budget for these departments as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, we already
Thank
did
you.
that, but they
Thank
like
you.
us. They want to stay. Have a good night. Thank you. The next is the Veterans Department with Mr. Joseph Hickey. We all know what Joe does, and we all appreciate what Joe does. But Joe, could you please just identify yourself for the record? And I believe that's on page 69 and 70 for the members. Pages 69 and 70 for the members. So we'll go to page 69. Are there any questions? Council Mangan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, just to look at the statement, Commissioner Hickey, I just want to say, you as well as departments before you, I know if you're coming after you, I think you do a fantastic job there on a daily basis. Just, what you do there, all during the week, but I mean, just what we saw the other day at the Memorial Day, the Veterans Day, but what you do for the people here, like I said, exemplary, like I said, and I wish every single community had somebody like you in that office. So I just, first of all, want to thank you for that. I just have a new question on the return. You're returning, you know, quite a, all the departments, you're returning $62,000 back.
That's correct.
Could you just explain that?
Just,
Where it's coming from?
it's just a cushion that we have. I mean, I'd like to say it's good management. So, I mean, what can I say? I mean, there's a barometer in the office. We don't know who's coming through that door and what they're looking for. It could be homeless, it could be fire victims, it could be people in distress, whatever it takes. Next year, that $62,000 could be $2,000 that I'm returning. We just never know. Don't know what's coming in the door. And it's day to day.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Council, for those kind of
Favorable
words.
action?
Any other questions on 69? Okay. No questions on 69 or
No,
70?
thank you.
Okay. Page 70 as well. Any questions on page 70? Council Hanlon.
Mr. Chairman, hi, Mr. Chairman. Did you get any additional monies during the year?
Did we get any additional monies?
Yes, during the year? Nothing from the
We-
state?
From the state, we get reimbursed from the state 75% of everything, everything on this budget here, with the exception
Yep.
of payroll,
Mhm.
we get 75% back from the
I know.
state. So every dollar we spend, we get 75 cents. We also get 100% reimbursement on flags, which is noted in this. We have a revolving fund.
Okay.
So the cemetery flags, just the cemetery flags, we get 100% reimbursement. There are certain other instances where we will get 100%. For instance, a veteran that's in a home that's a fire victim, and I have to put them up, we get 100% reimbursement on that. For somebody that's displaced due to homelessness, we pay their first and security deposit. We get 100% reimbursement on that. So there are certain instances where we do get money back from the state, but actually the whole budget here that we pay out to veterans, 75% comes back to the general fund.
Okay, then my dumb question would be, the 62,000, do we have to give any of that back to the state?
No, that's ours.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other questions? Well, excuse
customary
customary thanks.
thanks.
and
Favorable action.
Joe, thank you for everything you do for the city.
Thank
We
you,
all
councils.
appreciate you.
Appreciate the words, thank you.
It's been moved and second favorably on that portion of the budget as presented. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? If so acted. The next item is Human Services, and it's pages 73 and 74, if I have it correct.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
City clerk, page 21.
So we have
City
city
clerk.
clerk. No, it's Human Services.
Nope, city clerk.
City clerk is next. I don't see him, though.
Okay, hold on. Who's got what for the agenda? I've got veterans and then I have Human Services.
This was the email from yesterday that came on 5/27/15, and it has Carolyn Lightburn at 7:15.
Okay.
I
well,
think she said, when she sent the amended detailed one out,
Yeah.
this was the one that included Carolyn.
I've got Carolyn Lightburn next. Is that the right one?
Yeah, that was the one.
Okay. Okay, so it's Human Services. I'm not losing my mind. All right, so it's pages 73 and 74. So we'll start with 73. And if you could please just identify yourself for the record.
Carolyn Lightburn, the Director of Human Services.
Thank you very much. All right, page 73. Any questions from the floor? If there are none, we will move to page 74. Council Mangan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, thank you for everything you do down there, Ms. Lightburn. You do a fantastic job. Just on the education coordinator, we're going to a new position there, 49,000, just over 49,000. If you could just explain that, please.
Yes, the Everett Adult Learning Center, when we lost the funding from the Department of Education, we kept the department going by charging fees for some of the students and writing other grants. The Everett Adult Learning Center has done better than we expected, so we need additional help. So we hired an education coordinator to help apply for grants, oversee the teachers, and help our program that's growing every day.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any other questions? Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Second? It's been moved and second, favorable action as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You have so moved. The next item, I believe, is city clerk.
Is the council going to do the council on aging as well? That falls on the calendar.
I don't know that. You have, okay, we've got different sheets. Okay. Well, we want to be unique. All right, so
Mike Ferrarazzo.
the next one I have is city clerk. Is there another?
The Council on Aging is part of Human Services.
Okay,
It's on page 68.
okay. Should, well, let's go, yeah, I don't know if it was scheduled on another night, but you're here and it's with you, so let's go to 68. Okay.
We just thought Mike Matarazzo will wait longer.
Well, I don't blame you. He's such a pain. He's usually over here giving me a hard time.
Mr. Chairman, excuse me,
Yep.
just favorable recommendation, everything looks like it's pretty much close to what it was last year, so
Okay.
favorable recommendation from the Council on Aging.
Second motion.
It's been moved and seconded, favorable action. A discussion, Counsel Hanlon?
Yeah, I
Did
just want, need to go back to Office of Human Services.
Which page were we
Page
looking at?
74.
Okay, we're on 74.
Right. I have notes of the
Counsel Hanlon,
budget.
you have the floor.
I have notes of the budget, says human service salary is 77,000, but in the other, up here it says all has been given is 70,000?
If you look down the bottom, part of the, 3 of the salaries are grant funded, additional funds from the grants.
Is that $6,000?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry, Mr. Chairman, missed it.
All right. Are there any other questions? We'll excuse the customary thanks. Thank you very much. The motion on the floor is to,
Council on Aging.
it included the Council on Aging. So the motion's been to accept the budget as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You have so moved. The next one is a heavy hitter, the city clerk, Michael Matarazzo. I believe that is on page 21 and 22. Mike, you're a more frequent member in this hall than any of us, but if you could please just identify yourself for the record.
Michael Matarazzo, City Clerk.
Okay. Page 21, any questions from the floor? Counsel McKinnon.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to our clerk, Mr. Matarazzo. Did we ever get those bathrooms fixed, Mike?
Only joke. I just wanted to.
Counsel Mangan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Michael, again, as I said to the other departments, and I just congratulated you and your staff down there, do a great job on a daily basis, and very, very helpful. Just on page 21, some of the election costs from last year to this year are going up. Could you just explain the reason why?
First of all, on the tellers, wardens, and clerks, we wanted to make sure we were paying them the minimum wage, you know, for the amount of hours that they put in. But also, there were 3 elections. There's September, November, and then the presidential primary. So we have 3 coming up.
Okay, and just for the public, so they know, it's next, beginning of next year, but it has to be in this year.
Right, it's in this year's budget.
Okay,
It's in
thank
this
you.
It's in this fiscal year.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Are there any other questions on page 21? Seeing none, we'll move to page 22. Are there any questions on page 22? If there are no questions, we'll excuse the customary thanks. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mike. Thank you for everything. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and second to accept this portion of the budget as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You have so moved. That brings us, I think, I hope, we're all on the same page. Brings us to register of voters, and that would be pages 23 and 24. Good evening. If you could please, we all know you, but if you could please identify yourself for the record.
Maureen DePiero, Registrar of Voters.
Thank you very much. I believe it starts on page 23, councilors. Are there any questions on page 23? If there are none, we will move to page 24. Any questions on page 24?
Customary things, favorable action.
Second?
Thank you very much. It's been moved and second to accept this portion of the budget as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You have so moved. That leaves us with the financial department. And I think it's pages 5 through 14.
What is it?
Okay, so page 5 starts with the city auditor. Are there any questions on page 5? If none, we will move to the next page, which is page 6. Are there any questions on page 6? Council Marchese.
Mr. Fiscay, who was the budget director that's no longer funded?
The budget director is Lorraine Hurley, and she's still funded as part of the administrative code that was adopted. It created the budget office, reestablished that. We had rolled that into the auditor's office before, but you'll see in page 7 and 8, you'll see the reestablishment of that particular department.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Council Sani.
Thank you. Just a question on Assistant City Auditor. That position is going up like $10,000. Is that position a new person in there or somebody that's been doing the job, adding more?
No, it's the same person doing the job, Ida Cody behind me, and as a result of a salary survey, we are adjusting salaries according to what is the mean came out at, and you have a copy of that salary survey in front of you.
Council DeFlorio.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Richard, I have to say, for all the hard work that you're doing, I know you're here Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. I think your salary needs to go up a little more. Even though I'm not allowed to add, but you really do a lot of work, and I really believe you're underpaid for the work that you do. Thank
Well, I
you.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Any other questions on page 6? I just have one. It looks like the senior clerk position is being phased out from part-time to the administrative assistant. Is that what that is?
Yeah, several years ago, we had reduced that position to 20 hours a week, but with the volume of business we do and some of the initiatives we're putting through for this year and going forward to next fiscal year, and just to have adequate staff and for coverage in my office, it was a tough to work it with a 20-hour position, so we're looking to increase that to the full complement of hours.
Okay. Are there any other questions on page 6? Seeing none, we'll move to page 7, Office of Budgeting. Are there any questions on page 7? Seeing none, we'll move to page 8. Are there any questions on page 8? Council DeFlorio.
We're bringing in an assistant budget director.
Yeah, that's a wish of mine and the current budget director. We've, as you probably see by the amount of paper and some of the new budget initiatives we do, we just, it's really a department of one at the current structure right now, and when that person's out vacation, sick, et cetera, we have no one backup. So we're seeking to create assistant budget director so we can have some backup there, some cross training and the ability to provide better services and just I'm always coming up with new initiatives for my staff to do, though. I'm sure they'll tell you if they talk to you, but yeah, we're hoping to build that department up and just to provide the best serve as possible for the council, for the public, for the administration, et cetera.
Now, is this assistant budget director, that's a full-time position, is that correct?
We're hoping that I'll have a full-time position funded for assistant budget director, correct?
I mean, do you believe it should be a full-time position, or could you get away with a part-time position?
I would love to have a full-time, I mean, if I get funded for a full-time position, that's gonna just allow me to do my job better and for the budget department to do their job better. And like I said, it's, when you have a department of one and that person goes out on a vacation or sick and you have nobody there, it's, it makes it tough and puts a lot of strain on some of the other departments. And I just wanna be able to forge ahead and keep up, some of the good stuff we've done. I'll say it again, I know Melissa loves when I say it, but we did present the budget. We got a Distinguished Budget Award for this year. It's a very tedious task that we go through to do that. It's a lot of extra hours that Lorraine and I had put in to try to build that, and I'm really just trying to provide some support and some help so that we can move forward and just keep on improving.
If you remember, a few years ago, that was actually a department of 3. There was a budget director, assistant budget director, and a clerk. And we whittled down to 1, and obviously it's not really effective that way.
Are there any other questions?
Okay, thank you.
On page 8? If I may, from the chair, I think the nature of budget director is, this is when you really think about them. You know, say, okay, this is when they shine. They bring out the book. They give you the 42-pound book, and you say, oh, you know, look at it. What are the types of activities that a budget director is doing throughout the rest of the year that would necessitate the need for an assistant budget director? Other than, obviously, if your budget director goes out, you're in big trouble. But if you could speak to that, that might be helpful.
Sure. I mean, on a day-to-day basis, you can think of us having really 4 different budgets in the city. We have the city's operating budget, we have the school's operating budget, we have the capital improvement budget, we have the enterprise fund budget. We monitor those daily, weekly, monthly. Every time there's an appropriation, I mean, every time there's a warrant done, bills paid, we run reports, we analyze, make sure that we're spending within the appropriated budgets. We work with department heads to make sure that we need transfers, whether it's from within the department or to come before the city council. She prepares all the money orders that are necessary to do that, puts them all in the mail. We now track revenue year to date, so we're not just tracking expenditures year to date. I have Lorraine tracking the revenues year to date, and it's just plenty of analysis. There's many times departments come in, and some departments not as savvy as others with the numbers and the operations of it, so it's just constantly working within the departments. And then there's always special stuff, and we get calls from other municipalities, and if we can do help them get salary surveys done, give them some information. We have state and federal agencies calling up and want head counts and what people make and how many employees we have and what kind of benefits we have, and all these different types of things just kind of flow through to the budget director and the other staff when needed. So it's like the mayor said, it's the mayor's office is very busy, and the finance office tends to be very busy with a lot of inquiries and requests, and just basically working with all the departments and making sure that, you know, we're planning properly. We're doing 5-year forecast, and we're doing DOR requirements, regulations. It's just it's quite a busy office if you ever want to drop in. So we're just hoping that, you know, we always want to improve and get better and provide the best service. So we feel that, like Melissa said, there was a 3-person department down to 1, and I guess I've been known to give out a lot of work and try to improve. So just trying to relieve some of that from the employees.
So I just wanted to be able to have you address the misconceptions some might have that it's a one-time-a-year job. It's putting the budget book together and then you're done. The other thing Melissa had mentioned, and you know, kudos to you on the recent achievement, benefits the city. I know you don't talk about it, but you're here. The viewing audience is watching. Why don't you toot your horn a little bit and tell us what it is and what it's about and why it's such a big deal?
Sure, I'm happy to do it. This, in the PowerPoint presentation Monday, I explained that there's no really standard format for budgeting, but there is a Government Finance Officers Association, which is a national organization that sets some guidelines and parameters for budgeting, excellence in budgeting, and creating budgets that are not just a bunch of numbers and figures. It's policy, it's financial planning, it's 5-year forecasting, it's narratives about changes in budgets, the full-time equivalent head counts that you see in all of the documents that we provide, so you can see the trend. It's all requirements. There's about 19 specific requirements that are needed to fill that would then allow you to send in your budget to the National GFOA office for an analysis and a criteria that they score. And if you hit all the points that you're required to score, then they will award you the Excellence in Budget. And it's an award that is national by nature. And one of the goals when I got hired and we're talking with the mayor was that he would like to see that happen in the city of Everett. So it's been a 2-year process to kind of get all the data, create the forms, work with all departments, have them help us get the information we need so we can submit it as such. And I'm happy to report that we did get it for fiscal year 15 budget. We're talking about fiscal year 16 budget now, so the goal is obviously it's a yearly award. You're not automatically going to get it the next year. They do allow you some lenience, I guess, in the beginning and give you the award, but really give you some points on how to make it better, how to present it better. So, again, always trying to improve. I did get some feedback from counselors and from my boss and Melissa say, oh, you know, if you laid it out this way, or could you do this and organize that way? So we're always trying to build a better mousetrap, so to speak. But yeah, the goal is to achieve the award and keep it going. And it just it serves well for bond rating agencies and you know, the Department of Revenue likes to see it. So it's a pretty good achievement, and I'm proud to say that we got it on behalf of the city here.
Congratulations, well
Thank
done. Coordinated efforts of many. Are there any other questions on 8? If there are none, we'll move to page 9. This is Office of Purchasing and Procurement. Any questions on page 9? Seeing none, we'll go to page 10. Any questions on page 10? Counsel Sani.
On the contract attorney purchase agent, it actually went down. Can you explain that?
Sure. The contracts attorney is actually interested in going over to the solicitor's office, and that's being contemplated in this budget. So she's on maternity leave right now, but she's interested in returning as part of the solicitor's budget instead. And I think that's what we're contemplating here.
And her salary will go down?
Her salary would fill the solicitor's position instead, and then someone else would go into this position.
Oh, so then that would be for 65 for the new person?
Right. It's contemplated that person may not be an attorney.
That's correct.
For the
For the
purchasing?
contract attorney purchasing agent, yes, that first position, it's contemplated that position probably will no longer be an attorney, which is why you're seeing the lower rate.
Okay. But would they have the qualifications?
They
as a
still be a
purchasing
certified
agent?
purchasing agent, yes. And we still would have a contract attorney, we still would have the attorneys on staff to handle those things. It just would be laid out slightly differently.
Okay, thank you.
Counsel Hamlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The position of purchasing agent, it also says contracts attorney, meaning?
So the person who currently holds the purchasing agent position is an attorney. She deals with all the contracts in the city that are non-labor contracts, so she deals with anything that has to do with contractors, any capital improvement contracts. She negotiates them, she drafts them, she does all the bidding. And so that was has been part of her title for several years. She's been both a contracts attorney and a purchasing agent.
Is the title because she happens to be an attorney?
Yes.
What if she wasn't?
Then it would not be contract attorney, it would just be purchasing agent.
But
And that's
would
why.
they still doing the same job?
The job would be slightly different. The way that we have it laid out more in this budget is that the legal work would be done more by the solicitor's office, and the purchasing agent would do more of the bidding work. They still would have to comply with all of 30B. They still would follow all the state laws. It just would be laid out slightly differently.
Thank you.
Any other questions on page 10? Seeing none, we'll move to page 11, Office of Assessing. Are there any questions on page 11? I'm sorry, I apologize. Come on up. If you would, just please identify yourself for the record.
Thank you. Pam Davis.
Thank you, Pam. Counsel Sani.
Thank you. Can you explain, you requested 425 for professional services, but the mayor only recommended 100,000. Can you explain why the big difference?
Well, we believe that we will have some money in overlay that we can transfer to surplus to augment the budget.
So for professional services, what is that actually for?
Well, we have audits going on, we have appraisals going on, we have attorneys that defend us in ATB. We have attorneys, other attorneys that are helping us with the power plant. So that's been a lion's share of it all.
All right, thank you.
Are there any other questions on page 11? Seeing none, we'll move to page 12. Councilor Mangan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to either Mr. Davis or Mr. Fiscay, the assistant assessor is going up about $10,000. Can you just explain that?
His duties have increased dramatically. He's overseeing a lot of the ATB cases, whereas before he was doing nothing but inspections. He's not only doing inspections, but he's also overseeing the ATB cases. He hasn't had a raise in, I think, 10 years.
Okay, and just for the public at home, if you could just explain what ATB, because I
I'm
don't know.
sorry,
That's all
Appellate
right.
Tax Board. That's when people appeal the Board of Assessors' decision on an abatement request or an exemption.
Thank you so much.
Any other questions on page 12? Seeing none, we'll move to page 13. Thank you very much. This is the Office of Treasurer and Collector. Any questions on page 13? Council Mangan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't know if it was Mr. Fiscay or Mr. D'Angelo could answer this. On the tax title foreclosure, where, you could just explain that, because it's a big difference from going down from
Sure,
last year. There was
sure.
118 spent so far this year, and $931,000, excuse me, $118,931, and next year it's zero.
Yeah, the legislature passed a law that allows for cities and towns to set up a revolving fund for tax title fees. So, in a lot of cities and towns, it's a bit of a struggle to front load the fees for attorneys to process tax title accounts. So, they've allowed now for a revolving account whereby those fees, for those who don't understand how a tax title goes, when taxes aren't paid, it goes to tax title and it goes into a third-party attorney's hands who would then potentially foreclose on that property if need be, or try to straighten out any problems. But those fees are tacked on to the outstanding taxes, and once the tax title is settled, we get 100% of our receivables for our taxes, plus the fees for the attorney. Those fees now can go into an account, and then that account can be used to pay the attorney, therefore allows us not to have to front load and budget that. So it's a savings in this particular budget of $150,000, which is nice.
I'm all set, thank you.
Okay. Council Sani.
Thank you. The meter repair, maintenance, and parking meter minor equipment is added now into the treasurer's office?
Yeah, when we collapsed the parking budget, the parking clerk and the parking enforcement officers are now in the police department budget in the clerical portion of processing tickets, taking payments, collecting the meter fees, collecting the coins out of the meters, et cetera, has now rolled into the treasurer's collector's office. So there's actually, when you flip the page, you'll see the full-time equivalents have increased, but it's a wash because those positions have been moved from the parking department into the collector's office. So now, before parking receipts were handled in the office that will become constituent services. So now in the city, any revenue handled within City Hall goes in through the collector's office to the treasurer's office. So it's all centralized, and the 4 people, one of them is the meter collector, Frank, and then we have 3 clerical positions that handle all the parking passes, the ticket processing, ticket entry, et cetera.
And that's the same with the hearing officer moved over also under.
That, and yeah, and the hearing officer moved those. So those expenses have just been transferred over. There was no increase, it was just a lateral transfer to this department.
Okay, thank you.
Counselor Hanlon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Back to the tax title foreclosures. We just the other night established the new revolving funds, and I have a list of them here, and I do not see the Treasurer's Department or tax title foreclosures on here at all.
Yeah, the tax title foreclosure is a different type of revolving account. It's an account, there's several revolving accounts once you adopt the law once. It's not an annual renewal like the 53E and a half revolving account. So maybe about a month and a half ago, you got an order asking to establish the tax title revolving account. You voted favorably. So now that has been established, and it's not subject to a yearly renewal because it's a different type of, it's not a departmental revolving account. It's a standalone law, similar to the recreation revolving account. You don't see that every year because once that law is adopted once, that stays on the books.
What's the maximum expenditures that we can have in that account? Is it unlimited?
There's no limit to the particular tax title foreclosure account. It's different than the department revolving account. It's a different law altogether, and I can provide you with copies of both so you can
Would you
understand it
think
better.
of reducing it if it reached an alarming amount that was so high, you know?
Well, this particular account, the revolving account for tax title foreclosure should never have a negative balance because we'll get the revenue in first and we'll pay it right out. So it's almost like an agency account. Well, it'll never really accrue any money or where departmental revolving accounts kind of have ebbs and flows. This is going to be money in, money out, just more or less a clearinghouse.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Councilor Napolitano.
Thank you. I noticed that the salaries have gone up roughly about $185,000.
Yeah, the lion's share of that is the four personnel that we moved from the parking department into the treasurer collector's account.
Was one of those people a receiver?
Well,
I noticed that last year we had one. We're budgeting for two this year?
Yeah, if you look at the collector's office, it's almost broken into three factions. You have your tax collectors. In the middle section, you have your receivers for departmental receipts. That would be your dog licenses, your permits, your fees. And then now with moving the parking people over, we've created like a third faction, which is the parking receipts, and that's kind of a receiver with two clericals. So there's like two tiers of clerks. You got your frontline clerks that are working the windows, and you got your receivers that are putting together all your turnovers for the treasurer to deposit in the bank. So it's the same position. Now we're kind of trying to uniformly make that office, and we kind of got a new department and rolled it in, but we want to call them receivers and we want to call them cashiers. So it's just a change in the title of the position, not so much a new position or anything like that.
All right, thank you.
Councilor Hanlon.
Yeah, back to that question. How many people I know this is the two departments, so how many people actually wait on those windows? I mean, there's like.
We have 6 windows, and at any time there could be all 6 people. It's not as if someone just sits at a window all day. It's whatever, the lunch breaks, union breaks, et cetera. We're set up to service all 6 windows if need be.
All right, so you have 2 receivers and at the cashier also?
Yeah.
So then.
Every one of those positions, other than the treasurer collector, could potentially work the window because the treasurer collector is in the treasurer's office.
Thank you.
Any other questions on page 13? If none, we'll go to page 14. I believe this is the last page of the evening. Are there any questions on 14? Is there more? Okay, we really have to get the same sheet of paper.
Page 83, according to what the clerk. All right. Yeah, excuse me, 82.
Mr. Chairman, at any rate, I make a motion, we excuse them with the customary thanks and favorable action on the account.
Any questions on 14?
Oh, one more for him?
No, plenty more.
Okay.
We have a lot more.
All right, let's all join back together as one. Do we have any other questions on page 14? Seeing none. What was the next section? I don't have the page, councilors. I've got 82. Is that financial as well, Rich?
Yeah, it's the debt portion. Some of the other departments that are fixed costs fall under the treasurer collector. So.
Okay. So we have page 82, retirement of debt. Do we have any questions on that page? Council Mangan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Viscaia, if you could just explain, on page 82, April 23rd, 2015, it's $485,000 now.
Yeah, we had just sold bonds on previous capital improvement plans that were adopted. So now this April 23rd, 2015 is the date that we sold the bonds, and now you'll start to see the debt payments, kind of like a mortgage.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Councilor DeFlorio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. Richard, the debt is $7,064,416. That's the debt that we have on record right now?
No.
That's the payment.
The last column May has recommended, that ties to the debt payments that are due. Those are fixed costs. There's no variance in there. That, every single one of those, regardless if you cut any of the debt payments, we're required by law to make them, so you can cut this to zero and we still have to pay them.
Okay, my
But
question is,
it should come out to zero. There should be no appropriation turn back there. Those are actual principal payments for all the debt.
okay, but my question is, this is gonna go up once you go out to bond for that $14 million that was passed the other day.
Yes,
So
it will go.
Does this reflect the $14 million? No.
No, because all you've done is approve the bonds now, and now it's almost it cycles a year back. So the CIP plan that you've approved, the bonding you approved the other night, now, once I get the council orders back, signed and stamped and official, then I can give the departments the authorization to start to go forward and advance those projects. Some of those projects may take several years. Some of them, the equipment may be shorter in nature to get going. So after about 6 months, I'm going to look at where we are and either issue temporary bans to pay the portion of the debt that we've spent, or we'll go out and do another bond around April. I almost foresee the way it's going to play out is that every year there'll be a capital improvement budget, and that budget will be adopted, and depending on what's in there for bonded, you're almost going to see a cyclical bond sale, and then there'll be new debt coming on probably every year, and then, the plan is to, as debt falls off, we backfill it in, and we keep a pretty good ratio of debt to operating budget.
What is the total debt that we have?
Well, you'll see it, this page plus the next page is the total debt for fiscal year 16.
No, but these are the total payments. What are the total loans that we owe?
Oh, hold on, I can get a
That's
document.
okay, you can bring it to me next time.
I have it here somewhere, I can give it to you.
So, yeah, I'd like to.
It's probably like $70 million, I believe, but I'll get you
That's
the
with the
total
schools and
debt.
everything?
That's everything.
And when did the school debts, when did they, I know you said that in
There's a big drop-off in debt in year 2020.
year 2020.
2020, that debt.
That'll be a $4.6 million.
Yeah, it goes down about $4.5 million.
Okay.
But every year,
That's mostly all schools, is that correct?
I believe so, but I'd have to verify that.
All right, thank you.
Councilor Napolitano.
Actually, my question was answered, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on page 82? Seeing none, we'll move to page 83. Any questions on page 83?
No,
Councilor Hanlon.
this page is in addition to the page before it.
Yeah, the first page was the principal, and this is the interest.
If there are no questions, Councilor Mangan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just quickly, Mr. Viscaia, I see at a couple of the schools, the drop, but more particularly the school construction of, is that the high school that dropped off, the interest dropped off dramatically?
Yeah, as part of our $12.1 million bond sale, we were actually able to refinance some bonds, and we saved the city over $400,000 by doing so, and the lion's share of that savings is right here, so you'll see that. A lot of times with bonds, it'll be a 20-year bond, and you're locked in for 10 years. Then after that 10th year, if the rates go down, there's sometimes opportunities to refinance it, just like a mortgage, and we found some opportunities to do so. So I believe $6 million of the debt that we sold was actual new stuff, and $6 million was just a refinancing of old debt that resulted in a principal savings here, and I think an overall savings of about $430,000.
That's great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions on page 83? Seeing none, we'll move to page 84. This is short-term debt interest. Any questions on this page? Now, the next one, Rich, dare I ask, is retirement board part of, okay, so we're just going to go to the end of this book, I think, because I don't have it in front of me, so that's what we're going to do. So it's page 85.
Well, just 80, I think your unemployment is typically a human resource, and insurance would be human resources. FICA, I would say 88.
Is 85
I think
you as
80.
well?
I think after 85, you do 88, and then you'll be done with the
85 and
financial.
page 88. Okay, so we're on page 85. Are there any questions on page 85? Seeing, Counsel Hanlon?
Mr. Biscay, this is the pensions, that we pay out every year, 13 million? Is that-
No, this is the annual payment. This is the payment for fiscal year 16 that we need to fulfill the requirement that all of the pension liability will be funded by year 2040. We're on a schedule to have the entire
Okay.
pension system funded by 2030.
Okay.
Every 2 years, we do an actuarial study of where we are and projected liabilities, and they'll do a schedule of payments. We just had our actuarial study done last year, so now you'll see the new payments for this year. We've actually, the previous payments were on a 3.7% increase each year to pay it by 2030. We've increased it to 4.5% each year, so the way it's scheduled now is that this pension obligation is, it's on a 4.5% increase over the next, say, 12 years or so. And then, like I said, every 2 years it'll
So
change.
what's the total that we need to get up to the,
I think our unfunded liability is around $112 million at this point. But we've actually done really well. I think when I started, I believe we were only 37% funded. We've actually gone up to 43, but we're closer to 45 in real dollars. But there's a smoothing of a 5-year average that they use, so it doesn't spike up and down. But we're on a very aggressive track to pay this off. As a matter of fact, as part of the bond rating call, and I know the bond rating agencies look at our unfunded liability as a negative, but I had a hunch that we probably were funding our unfunded liability faster than anyone in the Commonwealth. But we're on the 7th fast amortization schedule of 106 retirement systems. So to look at the debt that we owe, $112 million, looks daunting, but we're on a path to pay that off as fast as 95% of the communities are slower than us. So.
okay, thank you.
Counsel Mangan.
Thank you, Mr. President. To you, Mr. Biscay. Mr. Biscay, I don't know if this is even possible. I was just curious, is that, because we have to get it funded by whatever, so many years down the road. Is there a state law or anything that allows us, as an example, let's say, I was retired and, I'm 70 years old, 65 years old, and I'm gonna receive a pension, whatever, let's say it's $20,000 a year for so many years. Is there a buyout or anything allowing pensions? So if you were to come to me and say, Mr. Mangan, you're gonna get so many more years, but we're willing to offer you, say, $50,000 or $60,000 one time. Is there anything in the law that allows that?
No.
There's nothing at all?
No. As a matter of fact, you can't even withdraw any of your pension as an active participant in the system unless you leave service, and then you could take your money. It's not like a 401k. You can't borrow against it. It's all set by law. It's pretty strict as far as accessing those dollars.
Only because I know Council DeFlorio just brought up recently about, the incentives to get people to retire early for savings and stuff down the road. I was just looking at the same thing if somebody was.
You have certain options you can pick what's required, option A, option B, option C, as far as what happens. There's an annuity portion of your pension, which is your actual dollars that you pay in, and then there's the supplemental amount, which is I guess you'd consider it the city's matching funds, and depending on what your situation is, married, single, et cetera, you can pick different options, and it tears it down a bit, but there's no ability to say, I'll just take all that money. It's pretty much set. I believe, I mean, I could check with the retirement director, but
Yeah, if you would, I mean.
I don't think it would make a lot of sense to anyone to do it, but I would.
No, but I'm just saying is that.
I mean, could you take your annuity and call it a day, I suppose, but I don't
I'm
know.
just thinking is like, even if you could get, say 5% of the people decided they wanted to do it, at some point we'd see a savings, you know what I'm saying, down the road. I'm just saying, just put out the offer there and some people, just having that option, but I think it's something in the long run that would take us, save us a little bit of money, that's all.
It would if it was possible, but I'll check and make sure and see if it is.
Thank you.
I don't believe it is, though.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Council Marchese.
Okay, just one quick question. You said our pension obligation's like $112 million.
Yes.
Outstanding. But that's what we have with the present amount of people working right now? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, it's based upon historical average. I mean, these actuarials, actually, they have mortality tables and, police dying quicker than clerical, dying quicker than teachers, and they forecast it out, and they also forecast assumptions for annual increases in pay, annual increases in the amount of bodies. So there's a whole lot of assumptions that go into it. They look at a lot of the past trends and they forecast it forward.
So also, the more amount of people that you hire and the greater the salary also increase that number also when people retire.
Well,
Obligations too.
it can. I mean, a lot of the people that have been in the system for a while are actually 5% contributors and 7% contributors.
Yep.
So those people actually tend to carry more of the burden of the pension. Now everyone's pretty much at 11% of salary. So the more you contribute, the less the city has to contribute. So the question is like tricky to answer. But the newer the employee, the more you contribute, and now anyone who's been hired after, I believe, 2012, after pension reform, they've actually made it an average of your 5-year salary, not your 3-year salary, so they are doing things to kind of stunt that rate that you may assume is going to drive it up. It's actually kind of on a downward trend, but things can change. But they've done some pension reform to try to slow that growth that you're kind of alluding to, I believe.
So it seems like the more that you hire and the more you pay, you never create a hole somewhere where it may actually downsize. Do you know what I mean? If you have 100 employees and you went with 60, 70, you'd create a hole somewhere where the pensions wouldn't be as high as with 100 people. I mean,
Potentially, depending on how much they make and everything else, yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, less head count, less pension, theoretically, all things
And less
being
debt
equal,
service.
otherwise.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, hiring part-timers versus full-timers and all stuff like that can help, but, the unions don't like to see you hire 5 part-timers if you can hire 2 full-timers either, so it's a tricky situation, but yeah, I know what you're saying, and that thought process is right.
All right, thank you very much.
Any other questions on page 85? Seeing none, we'll go to 88. I do believe this is the last page. Are there any questions on page 88? Any questions on 88? Seeing none, thank you very much, both of you, for staying here the whole time and answering our questions. What's the pleasure of the council? Council Mangan?
First, Mr. Chairman, before I make a motion, I just wanted, just for the viewing public, the Office of the Treasurer and Collector, they actually are returning, according to our sheets, $9,000 back to the city, so.
Thank you, council.
Thank you for that. And I would make a favorable recommendation this time.
It's moved and second to accept this portion of the budget as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You have so moved. Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Mr. President.
Moved and second adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
You have adjourned.